Chapter 402. P.S. The seventh Alliance leader has been born, Flowerbug007. The Empyrean fairy power was a technique cultivated by the Empyrean fairy. Anyone who cultivated it was destined to be alone for the rest of their life. This was because this technique was extremely een and cold. It absorbed the een energy of heaven and earth, purifying the body and turning it into a een body. Such a body was not something a mortal could have. It was close to the body of an immortal. Such a body was not something a mortal could desecrate, especially a man. Once there was skin contact, he would die. The man's natural disposition was masculine, like a ball of fire. Once he had sexual intercourse with a practitioner of the Empyrean fairy technique, it was as if he had been doused by a heavy downpour. No matter how fierce the fire was, it could not withstand it. Lu Yurong was surrounded by women, and they all cultivated the beauty power. Because of this, if a man was around, even if there was no skin contact, his yang energy would be damaged and his body would become weak. She was also used to being surrounded by women. She was not used to the smell of men and was extremely disgusted. This was also because of the Empyrean fairy power. It was like water seeing fire, inexplicably disgusted. Chuli grabbed her hand. Her expression did not change, but she was furious and wanted to kill him. She did not hold back and activated the inner energy of the Empyrean fairy power to attack Chuli. However, Chuli did not react. The inner energy of the Empyrean fairy power could not hurt him. This was out of her expectation. It also reminded her of a story about the Empyrean fairy power. Among the descendants of the Empyrean fairy power, they all lived their lives alone. However, there was one exception. Only one of the descendants found her man and stayed with him for the rest of her life. This was even more luck than obtaining the inheritance of the Empyrean fairy power. Such a man was hard to find. First, he was not afraid of the Empyrean fairy power. Second, he could break her heart. The Empyrean fairy power was easy to break, but the Empyrean fairy power was difficult. She had a clear understanding of this. When she saw a man, not only did she not feel happy, but she felt disgusted. She forcefully suppressed it, but it could not be seen on the surface. To break the heart of the Empyrean fairy was no different from changing the world. Making a woman who liked women and hated men fall in love with a man was no different from making a man change his sexual orientation. Whenever she saw Chu Li, she would feel the same disgust. However, due to Chu Li being shrouded in mystery, her curiosity was piqued. Her intense curiosity would occasionally suppress her disgust, but most of the time, it was still disgust. Now that Chu Li had grabbed her hand, it instantly magnified this feeling of disgust. Therefore, she did not hesitate to kill him, but she did not expect the Empyrean fairy power to lose its power and was unable to hurt him. She was in a daze, deep in thought. It seemed that in this world, there really was a man who was not afraid of her Empyrean fairy power. This was the first time she had encountered such a man. She had thought that this story was just a legend, an illusory comfort and hope for the successor of the Empyrean fairy power. Unfortunately, even if he was not afraid of her Empyrean fairy technique, he could not change his nature of hating men. Chuli smiled. Miss Lu, although your Empyrean fairy power is powerful, it's not invincible. Humph, invincible. Lu Yurong glared at him. For a man, this is invincible. Chuli could not help but laugh. Then it's my turn. The water ball fell into her heart. In an instant, her blood flowed like a raging river. Endless power was transferred to her body by the blood. He swung his hand, and Lu Yurong was instantly sent flying. She was like a helpless doll. Lu Yurong quickly activated the Empyrean fairy power. Just as she was about to dissipate the power, a white shadow flashed in front of her. Chu Li's aura approached and punched her shoulder. Bang! She felt like she was a small boat in the raging waves. Resistance was useless. The Empyrean fairy power could only protect her body from injury, but it could not change the direction of her body. She was sent flying at an even faster speed. Bang! She crashed into a tree. Her back was in pain, and her internal organs were in turmoil. She quickly channeled to neutralize the pain, and at the same time, she was prepared for another surprise attack from Chu Li. As soon as she thought of this, a white shadow flashed in front of her. Chu Li's fist was enlarged in front of her again. She used all her strength to dodge to the left. Bang! With a muffled sound, the pine tree behind her swayed, and then slowly fell backwards. Chu Li's punch broke the pine tree that was as thick as her waist. She fully activated the Empyrean fairy power and did not dare to hold back. However, she realized that Chu Li had already stopped and was looking at her with a smile. She was extremely angry and stared at Chu Li coldly. Chu Li smiled. "Miss Lu, how was that?" "Humph, you do have some skills." Lu Yurong laughed coldly. Just now, he was really powerful, and she was no match for him. She felt that Chu Li must have used a secret skill to activate his potential, so he could only be powerful for a while. Even so, it was still shocking enough that she might not be able to handle it. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Once Princeton uses the Azura power technique, he will also have this kind of power. "Miss Lu, don't underestimate him." Lu Yurong frowned. "Is the Azura power technique that powerful?" Chu Li smiled. "When have I ever lied to you?" Lu Yurong scoffed and did not refute. Chu Li could cover up his words, but he would never lie to her. This was also the reason why she dared to cooperate with him. Lu Yurong said slowly, "If that's the case, the Tempest Temple really needs to act faster, but they might not be effective." Chu Li said, "For other things, the Tempest Temple may turn a blind eye and not fight with the Emperor, but this is not a small matter. The Tempest Temple will not give in and will definitely send someone to the fairy's capital." "All right, I will give it a push," Lu Yurong said lightly. "Chu Li, since when did you collude with the Tempest Temple?" Chu Li smiled without saying anything. Lu Yurong said, "Is it the guy who eats human brains by the riverside?" Chu Li's eyebrows twitched. He was surprised that she knew about this even with her sharp informant. Only Fa Yuan and the others knew about this. Even Elder Gui and the others did not know. It was almost impossible for the secret to be leaked. Lu Yurong scoffed. "You're really powerful. You can cooperate with the Tempest Temple. If the Public House knew about this, I wonder what the consequences will be." Chu Li laughed. "Miss Lu understands. This is not a threat to me. Anyway, be careful." Lu Yurong pouted her red lips. She felt resentful and hated Chu Li even more. Every time she fought with him, she would always be at a disadvantage. This made her extremely angry, and she always wanted to get back at him. Chu Li pointed at her shoulder. "Miss Lu, please forgive me. Your clothes." Lu Yurong looked down. There was a fist hole on her left shoulder. It was caused by Chu Li's punch just now. It tore her clothes apart, as if it was branded by a soldering iron. She frowned and looked at the skin that was vaguely exposed. It was like white jade and was not injured. Chu Li coughed. "Why don't I find a set of clothes?" "Where?" Lu Yurong stared at him unhappily. Chu Li said, "Wait." Chapter 403. Xiao Shi's figure was similar to Lu Yurong's. He was holding Xiao Shi's gown. "Get out." Lu Yurong took it and said angrily. Chu Li coughed softly. "Then I'll go out and help you keep a lookout in case someone comes over." "Hurry up." Lu Yurong did not even look at him. Chu Li shook his head. He did not want to lower himself to her level. He floated out of the dense forest and received 2 horses from a soldier. He nodded in thanks. After a while, it was still not over. He felt strange, but he still did not use the omniscient mirror. He handed the 2 horses over to the soldiers and entered the forest, only to meet Lu Yurong. Lu Yurong had changed into a bluish-white gown. It was different from the bluish-white gown that she was originally wearing. It was simple and elegant. She was the same as Xiao Shi. Once she changed her clothes, she would have a different temperament. Lu Yurong saw him staring at her, and she did not hide the disgust in her heart. She glared at him and walked out of the forest. Chu Li did not mind Lu Yurong's expression of disgust. He knew that Lu Yurong liked women. He simply admired her beauty and never had any other thoughts. The sound of horse hoofs could be heard in front of them. Lung Ying and Lung Qiu were galloping over on their horses when they saw the 2 of them coming out from the forest. The 2 of them rode their horses closer and looked at the 2 of them with surprise. Chu Li glanced at Lung Qiu and Lung Ying and nodded. He took the reins from the soldier. "Why are you back?" "Mother and the others were worried, so they asked me to come and take a look. What are you busy with?" As Lung Qiu spoke, her bright eyes darted back and forth between Chu Li and Lu Yurong, trying to figure out something. "Cousin, why did you change your clothes?" Lung Ying asked in surprise. She was observant and could tell that Lu Yurong was not wearing the same clothes as before. Chu Li also copied the color of the clothes to prevent others from noticing, but he couldn't hide it from Lung Ying. Lu Yurong blushed and scoffed. "What change of clothes? I didn't change." Lung Ying pointed at her willowy waist and said with a smile, "Cousin, your clothes clearly have a flower here, not this bird." "Young. Gather? Philosticles lanceolata don't pick up you Yao Huang Tu Che Mo Xian to ridicule Zheng? Stop. Spoiled childish? Kueishi Temple? Oyster cutlet, however. Lung Ying did not follow them. Instead, she sized Chu Li up. Chu Li smiled as he looked at Lung Ying. "Miss Ying, what can I do for you?" "Do you like my cousin?" Lung Ying's jade-like face was taut as she snorted and asked. Chu Li shook his head. "Miss Ying, you've misunderstood. There's no romantic relationship between us." Lung Ying snorted. "Don't think that I don't know these things just because I'm young. Can't you see that my cousin's face is red? Why did you 2 go into the forest?" Lung Qiu's eyes widened. Chu Li could not help but laugh. "Miss Ying, you've really misunderstood. Miss Lu and I are not friends. We're rivals. We entered the forest just now to learn from each other's martial arts. After a round, why did you change your clothes?" "It's because I tore her clothes." "Humph, it would be weird if I believed you." Lung Ying's pretty face tensed up as she curled her lips. "Your fight is different from the fight we're talking about, right, Lung Ying?" Lung Qiu called out with a red face. Chu Li could not help but laugh as he sized up Lung Ying. Not to be outdone, Lung Ying glared at him and scoffed. "What are you looking at? Don't think that I don't know." Chu Li smiled. "I didn't expect Miss Ying to know so much. In short, you and my cousin are different. My big brother likes my cousin. You can't." Lung Ying snorted. Chu Li flipped over and got on the horse. "Why can't I? My cousin and my cousin have been childhood friends, and they have a good relationship. No wonder they suddenly became cold these 2 years. It's because of you." Lung Ying scoffed. "You're the one who destroyed my cousin and my big brother's relationship." Chu Li looked at her innocent face. She looked cute even when she was angry. He smiled. "Who can decide the relationship between a man and a woman? Everyone has no choice but to do so. Your cousin is the same. My cousin has really fallen for you." Lung Ying was initially just bluffing. She was just suspicious. She felt that with her cousin's personality, she would not fall for a man so easily. She did not expect Chu Li to suddenly say such a thing. Chu Li shook his head. No. Lang Ying frowned and stared at him. If Chu Li said that he liked her, she would be suspicious. Since Chu Li said so, she believed that the two of them really had feelings for each other. Chu Li said, "It's best that you don't tell your parents or your big brother about what happened today. Otherwise, your cousin will be put in a difficult position. You can't just not marry your big brother, right?" "I won't hide it from my big brother and my parents." Lang Ying scoffed. Chu Li smiled. "Miss Singh, you should know that my light body technique is not bad. If you really tell them, don't blame me for being rude." "How are you going to be rude?" Lang Ying scoffed. Chu Li said, "How about I throw a worm on your bed?" "You." Lang Ying was shocked. The thought of a worm crawling on her bed made her whole body numb. Chu Li had already activated the omniscient mirror. He knew that she was most afraid of worms, so he wanted to scare her. Looking at her pale face, he inexplicably wanted to laugh. It was really interesting. Lung Qiu scoffed. "Head chief." Chu Li chuckled. All right, I was just joking. Miss Singh, please don't mind." "What joke?" Lang Ying hurriedly asked. Chu Li smiled. "Don't worry, I really don't have an affair with Miss Liu. The heart technique she cultivated made her not like men, so you don't have to worry about your big brother. Not like men." It was the second time Lang Ying heard about her cousin's heart technique. Chu Li said, "Her heart technique is strange and very overbearing. If a man gets close to her, once they touch skin to skin, he will die." The heart technique also made her instinctively hate men, just like how you hate worms. If you want your big brother's good, don't let him get close to Lu Yurong. Otherwise, he will be asking for trouble. "Really?" Lang Ying frowned. Chu Li smiled. "If you don't believe me, you can ask Lu Yurong." "No wonder." Lang Ying was a little surprised. Thinking back to the time when she interacted with her cousin, it seemed that she really did not get close to men. There were only women around her. Even her scribes and protectors did not have men. So it was because of this, Chu Li said, "We should go too." Lang Ying turned her head and stared at him. "You fought with my cousin. Who won?" Chu Li smiled. "What do you think?" "My cousin's martial arts is very powerful." Lang Ying scoffed. She thought about her cousin's expression and vaguely felt that her cousin might have lost, or else her cousin would have mocked Chu Li. Her cousin's angry look earlier was probably because she really lost to Chu Li. Chu Li smiled and nodded. The three of them galloped on their horses and quickly caught up with Xiao Shi and the others. Lu Yurong was already riding side by side with Consort Lu. She did not even look at him. Consort Lu's gaze turned to Chu Li and looked at Lang Ying as if nothing had happened. Lang Ying came to the other side of Lu Yurong and secretly looked at her. Lu Yurong scoffed and said in a low voice, "What did Chu Li say to you?" "He said that you lost, cousin." "Humph. Cousin, you really can't beat him?" "I can't." "Is he that powerful? Tell your big brother not to provoke him." "Big brother won't listen to me. What are you two whispering about?" Consort Lu smiled. "Watch where you're going." "Mother, I have something to say to my cousin," Lang Ying said in a sweet voice. "You too." Consort Lu shook her head and laughed. She looked at Xiao Shi. Sister Xiao must have seen something embarrassing. Xiao Shi smiled and glanced at Chu Li. Chapter 404. The imperial enclosure was not far from the east gate of the fairy's capital. It was more than 10 miles away. Even if they rode slowly, they would arrive in no time. It was a boundless grassland with a few dense forests in the middle. Everywhere they looked was green and full of life. The grassland scenery was different from the great Ji dynasty. The imperial princesses liked it, and treated the hunting ceremony as a place to relax. However, this was only for the imperial princesses. The imperial princes did not have the leisure to do so. The hunting ceremony was not for the imperial princes to be the hunters and hunt the beasts in the enclosure. It was for the imperial princes to be the prey, and the soldiers who had military merits on the battlefield to be the hunters and hunt the imperial princes. The hunting ceremony was not a child's play. It was a real battle. The victor would accumulate military merits, and it would not be inferior to an army in a big battle. This military merit was enough for the soldiers to give their all and disregard everything. As long as they won, it would be better than a battle of life and death. With the military merit, they did not care how powerful the imperial princes were, or if he would take revenge on them. They had to take care of what was in front of them first. Moreover, the great G army and even the martial arts world worshipped the strong. The strong were respected. If they could defeat the imperial princes, they could let the imperial princes see their power and remember them. When Chu Li and the others arrived, there were already a few groups of people gathered together. They were chatting and playing. It was very relaxing. When they saw Princess Lu and the others, a few groups of people surrounded them. Princess Lu introduced Xiao Shi to the other princesses. Chu Li stood at the side and did not say anything. He watched Xiao Shi greet the princesses in a natural and unrestrained manner. She was calm and at ease. She was graceful and elegant. In addition to her unparalleled beauty, she made the other women pale in comparison. After exchanging greetings for a while, Xiao Shi seemed to be exhausted. When Consort Lu saw this, she knew that Xiao Shi's injury had yet to heal and her body had yet to fully recover. Hence, she pulled everyone to the side and asked her to rest in the pavilion. Chu Li channeled the wood's spiritual energy into Xiao Shi's body. She was refreshed. Ling Qiu and Lung Qing had already left to find other sisters to play. Only Xiao Shi, the three princesses, Chu Li, Yang Su, and Xueling were left. The sound of horse hoofs could be heard. Lung Feng brought a few young men and ran towards Chu Li as if they wanted to trample him. Chu Li looked at them calmly. Lung Feng and the others pulled on the reins of their horses, and the 7 horses reared up and stopped in their original spots. Lung Feng and the others sat steadily on the backs of the horses. Lung Feng fist saluted to the 3 ladies. He then looked at Chu Li and said faintly, "Head Chief Chu, let's have some fun together later." Chu Li shook his head. "Thank you for your kind intentions, Crown Prince Feng, but I'll pass." "Head Chief Chu, what's the point of staying in a pile of women? We're all real men who want to do great things. How can we be content in a pile of women and not think about improving ourselves?" Lung Feng said calmly. Chu Li said, "Prince Feng, Chu Li, my duty is imperial princess. There is no imperial's princess. This is the imperial enclosure. How can there be any danger here?" Lung Feng pointed at the surroundings. "There are experienced soldiers guarding the place. Even if there are assassins, they won't be able to get in. Head Chief Chu, are you looking down on them?" Chu Li frowned and smiled. "What do you mean, Prince Feng?" Lung Feng's spirit was roused, and he said loudly, "Even though we also brought guards, once we reached the enclosure, we let them rest. With these elite soldiers guarding, there is no need for these guards. But Chief Chu is following Wang Fei closely with a worried expression. Could it be that he is really afraid that an assassin will break in?" "That's right." The young men around him chimed in. They were talking absent-mindedly. Their gazes involuntarily drifted towards Xiao Shi. They were captivated by Xiao Shi's beautiful face. Chu Li smiled. "Prince Feng, you've misunderstood. I'm not guarding against an assassin. Lady Xiao Shi's injury hasn't healed for a long time. She's still sick. This is a rare opportunity to meet the princesses. That's why I brought her sick body out. Since the maids are there, why do we need a man like you?" Lung Feng laughed. Chu Li shook his head. "Prince Feng, this is the training ground. It's a rare chance for the princes to experience war. It's not a place for personal battles. Us scribes going up there is against the great ancestors' original intention. Prince Feng, forgive me for not complying." Lung Feng's face darkened. This Chu Li was too cunning. With just a few words, he changed the topic. Unknowingly, he shifted the blame away. He even mocked him and taught him a lesson. How hateful! Suddenly, an enigmatic voice came from the crowd. "Are you afraid?" Chu Li smiled and looked at Lung Tao. He turned to look at Xiao Shi. "Lady Xiao Shi, let's avoid them." Everyone's attention was involuntarily attracted by Xiao Shi. They were absent-minded when they heard Lung Feng and Chu Li. When they saw Chu Li and Xiao Shi talking, they became spirited. Xiao Shi glanced at the crowd and looked at Lung Feng. "Prince Feng, did we women spoil your fun? It's useless to stay with women. It's better for you to stay away from us." Everyone looked at Lung Feng. They couldn't help but blame him for offending a beauty. Lung Feng closed fist saluted and said seriously, "Third aunt, you misunderstood." Xiao Shi waved her hand and ignored his explanation. "I'm tired. I don't have the energy to talk to people. Please." Lung Feng was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Xiao Shi to be so rude. As the son of King Jing, he was always greeted with a smile wherever he went because of King Jing. Even if there were some who were not flattering, he would not treat them coldly. It made him feel even more uncomfortable to have such a beautiful woman treat him coldly. Xiao Shi turned around. "Sister Song, Sister Shui, go talk to Consort Lu. I'll go sit in the gazebo." Lung Feng's face turned even uglier. Xiao Shi's words were obviously saying that he was a generation younger than her. She was too lazy to talk to him. Chu Li smiled. "Consort Lu is very busy. Let's find a place to rest." Very good." Xiao Shi nodded lazily. Everyone suddenly felt pity for her. They wished that they were the ones holding her instead of Yongsu, and Xueling Chu Li closed fist saluted and smiled. "Prince Feng, everyone, I'll take my leave first." Lung Tao stood in the crowd and sneered. He continued to speak in a strange tone, trying to escape when you can't win. How impressive! Chu Li didn't even look at him. He went to a gazebo with Xiao Shi and the other 4 ladies. Lung Tao said, "Brother Feng, this guy is too arrogant." "Shut up." Lung Feng glared at him. No matter how angry he was, he could tell that Lung Tao was up to no good. Lung Tao was trying to provoke him and Chu Li to fight. He didn't mind fighting Chu Li, but he didn't want to be used by others. He hated Lung Tao's intentions. Lung Tao touched his nose in embarrassment. He chuckled and said nothing. "Lung Tao, didn't you get slapped? Hit him back." Someone laughed. Lung Tao scoffed. "If I could beat him, I would have beaten him half to death." Chapter 405. How do we extinguish his arrogance? That's easy. Isn't he good at martial arts? Then let's gather the protectors and surround him. An ordinary-looking young man chuckled and said proudly, "No matter how good he is, can he really fight 10 people at once?" That's a good idea, but we can't say that it's our master's suggestion. We can only say that these protectors are not on good terms with him. They can't stand his arrogant demeanor, so they want to learn from him. If anything happens, it won't be our responsibility. Let the protectors talk to him. Let's see what he can do. Humph, head chief. Let's see how impressive he is. That's right. With our status, we'll be flattering him if we stoop to his level. Brother Feng, what do you think? They looked at Lung Feng eagerly. Lung Feng glanced at the crowd and said coldly, Boring. Lung Tao quickly said, Brother Feng, don't be a wet blanket. It's not easy to find something fun. That's right. Brother Feng, you don't have to do it. We can do it ourselves. But we have to borrow Brother Feng's 2 protectors and young Tao's protector Chen. Elder Chen? That won't do. Lung Tao quickly shook his head. Elder Chen won't mess around with me. My words don't matter at all. He only listens to my father, and he even has to control me. Look at you. Someone said disdainfully, a dignified crown prince is controlled by a protector. You're embarrassing us. What can I do? Lung Tao pouted. Who asked my father to give him so much power? In my opinion, Elder Chen doesn't have to do it. With the few of you protectors together, Chu Li will have a hard time. That's right. The crowd nodded in agreement. They had long been dissatisfied with Chu Li and wanted to take him down a notch. The head chief of the imperial residence of King, and was a rank 1 at such a young age. Although he was promoted from the House of High Dukes, and not the imperial court, his position as the head chief of the imperial residence of King, and was enough to give him a shocking amount of power. One word from him was more effective than the crown princes like them. To them, who were of noble birth and thought highly of themselves, this was intolerable. Lung Feng snorted and said, That's enough. All of you are just a bunch of incompetent fools. Brother Feng, don't just pour cold water on us. Give us some ideas too. Someone shouted, Everyone will listen to you. That's right. That's right. Brother Feng, this fellow is too arrogant. We need to teach him a lesson. Otherwise, if he tramples on our imperial heirs, how will we have the face to walk around the city in the future? Chu Li's light body technique is top-notch. It doesn't matter how many of you besiege him. Lung Feng said. Then what should we do? Someone asked in confusion. Besieging him won't work, but we can't fight him one-on-one, right? There is a way, Lung Feng faintly said, to deal with Princess Xiao. Princess Xiao, everyone hesitated. Xiao Shi's beautiful face appeared before their eyes. Her eyes were like deep pools as they turned their heads to look at the pavilion in the distance. The women were sitting in the gazebo while Chu Li stood outside. His white robes fluttered in the wind as he stood there motionlessly, staring at the plains. A strange aura of loneliness emanated from his body. What is this kid doing? How annoying! Someone scoffed in disdain. He's pretending to be profound. Lung Feng said, Princess Xiao is his weakness. We don't have to attack Princess Xiao. As long as we rush towards her, Chu Li will have no choice but to fight. That's a good idea. If we don't teach him a lesson, we won't be able to vent our anger. All right, then we'll gather the protectors together and set up an ambush on the way back. We'll teach him a lesson so that he won't be able to lift his head. That's settled then. Brother Feng, is that okay? Lung Feng faintly said, I didn't hear anything, and I don't know anything. Ha! All right, this has nothing to do with Brother Feng. Everyone laughed, but they were secretly cursing. He was really cunning. Whenever something happened, he would shirk responsibility and pretend to be virtuous. Although they criticized him in their hearts, they did not show it and continued to laugh. After all, Chu Li's father was King Jing. They were not capable enough to reincarnate, so they had no choice but to admit it. Chu Li looked at the lively scene and suddenly missed Xiao Qi. He did not know if she was still in isolated cultivation. It was not easy to become an enlightened master, even if she had cultivated the ancient regal sword scripture. He had to work harder too. She had become an enlightened master, but he was still a grandmaster and had to look up to her. How could he break her regal amnesia and win her heart back? Thinking about this, he felt a sense of urgency. He could not wait to find the path of an enlightened master and embark on the path of pursuit. Unfortunately, it was useless to be anxious now. 3 knights galloped over, and the horses suddenly stopped. Chu Li looked at the 3 knights. One of them was an elder in a purple robe, while the other 2 middle-aged men were clad in iron armor that shone brightly under the sun. The elder in the purple robe had white hair and a ruddy complexion. He had the cultivation level of a grandmaster, and his eyes were bright as if they could see through one's heart. "Princes," the elder in the purple robe said in a deep voice. The princes gathered around and fist saluted. The ladies did not move and continued talking. Lung Qiu and Lung Qing came to Chu Li's side. Lung Qing faintly said, "Prince Bao, the emperor's younger brother. They share the same mother." Chu Li nodded. Prince Bao's cultivation level was high. He must have obtained spirit medicine from the imperial house and a mystical technique. His aura was like the mountains and the sea, but it was hidden deep within. It was hard for outsiders to detect. If Chu Li did not use the heavenly demonic power, he would not be his opponent. This year's 12 hunting ceremonies are hosted by Prince Bao. Lung Qing said, "Prince Bao is impartial. No one dares to play favoritism." Lung Qiu smiled happily. Lung Tao and the rest are going to be in trouble again. How delightful! Chu Li said, "Who wins the most in every hunting ceremony?" "The princes almost never win." Lung Qing faintly said, "They are sent here to be beaten because they know the dangers of war. If they really win, how would the soldiers feel?" "Not even once." Chu Li asked. Lung Qing said, "There was once." Lung Feng set up an ambush and barely won. Chu Li nodded. "Looks like this Prince Feng has some ability to lead troops. He was just lucky." Lung Qing sneered. The soldiers were too careless and looked down on Lung Feng and the rest. That's why he succeeded. Since then, they never won a single battle and were beaten up badly. These soldiers are really ruthless. On the battlefield, they don't care if they are the princes or not. Moreover, everyone wears armor and covers their faces. They also split the princes into a few teams to compete with each other. Lung Qing said. "How many teams?" Chu Li asked. "Usually 5 teams," Lung Qing said. "Sometimes it's 3 teams. It depends on Prince Bao's temporary ideas." Lung Qiu could not interrupt. She smiled. "Big sister is very interested in these." Chu Li raised his eyebrows. "Miss Qing likes to study military strategies." "I'm just looking around," Lung Qing said coldly. Chu Li did not know that Lung Qing had such a hobby. No wonder she suddenly came over to talk to him. "I'm a girl. I like military strategies just to relieve my boredom," Lung Qing said. Chu Li nodded. Chapter 406. Chu Li said, "The battlefield is indeed not suitable for women, but the use of military strategy is very broad. It's not only on the battlefield, it can also be used during normal times." Lung Qing said faintly, "It's useless everywhere because she's a woman." Chu Li smiled and said nothing. Lung Qiu said, "How is it useless?" "I heard that Lu Yurong is in charge of the Ren public house. She commanded the protectors of the High Duke's public house to defeat the martial arts masters. She's amazing. Aren't you still at a disadvantage in the hands of the head chief?" Lung Qing said. Chu Li shook his head and smiled. "Miss Qing, don't listen to the rumors outside. They are all exaggerated. In fact, Lu Yurong didn't suffer much." "That's right," Lung Qiu hurriedly nodded and said, "Before the head chief came out, Lu Yurong was victorious in every battle and had never been defeated. Big sister, you have a meticulous mind. If you could command the troops, you would definitely be victorious in every battle." Chu Li laughed. Lung Qiu's words were too unbelievable. He smiled and said, "Miss Qing, actually, the key to using military strategy is not the strategy, but the human heart. Only by being able to see through the human heart can one be able to use strategy properly. If one cannot see through the human heart, no matter how brilliant the strategy is, it will be useless. Is Lu Yurong capable of that? Lung Qing asked. Chu Li said, Miss Qing, have you noticed Lu Yurong's behavior? Yes. Lung Qing nodded slowly. She had been studying military strategies and books all this while. Among the women of the great Qi dynasty, Lu Yurong was the best at strategizing. She could suppress men, and no one could stop her. Later, with the appearance of Chu Li, she barely managed to suppress Lu Yurong's limelight. Chu Li said, I don't know if you can tell that Lu Yurong can read other people's minds. See through other people's thoughts? Lung Qing frowned. Chu Li said, she can see down to the smallest detail and see straight into people's hearts. Lu Yurong has this ability. She can read people's minds through their words and actions. Although it's not foolproof, it's not far from the truth. This is the basis of wisdom. I see. Lung Qing looked into the distance thoughtfully. Lu Yurong was talking to Princess Lu in a low voice, smiling coldly. Two middle-aged knights were guarding downstairs, while Prince Bao climbed up the tall building alone. Chu Li sized up the tall building. It was about 30 meters tall and covered an area of more than 100 square meters. Its style was simple and unadorned, and most of it was built with bluestone. It had experienced countless years of wind and rain, and was modeled with the vicissitudes of life. Prince Bao went up the stairs and held onto the railing. His purple robe fluttered in the wind as he looked down at the crowd. He raised his voice and said, I won't say much about the rules of the hunting ceremony. I just want to warn you. Prince Bao's voice rang clearly in everyone's ears. This is a battlefield. You're surrounded by your comrades, and you're facing your enemies. There's only one thing you need to do: protect your comrades and destroy your enemies. This time, you'll be divided into 5 teams. Whoever wins, in the end, will be marked as a middle-ranked army. Put on your armor. Groups of soldiers and princes gathered together and entered a dense forest not far away. Chu Li activated the omniscient mirror and watched as they entered the dense forest. First, each of them received a set of armor. After putting it on, they put down their iron helmets and covered their faces. Then, they began to draw waist tags from a box. Those who drew a waist token of the same color would have their arms tied with a cloth of the same color. Soon, the 5 teams were separated. After putting on their armor and riding on their horses, even those who were close to them would not be able to recognize each other. The princes and the soldiers were one. Even those with sharp eyes could see it, but at this time, they could not care less about the identity of the other party. The princes would not be able to recognize them either. There was no need to show mercy at all. A middle-ranked army was not something that could be found all the time. Red team, this is your marching map. Blue team, this is your... All right, each of you set off according to the marching map. There's food, horse feed, and water over there. The rest is up to you. A middle-aged man's voice shouted. The thundering sound of hooves could be heard. Groups of neatly armored cavalrymen slowly came out of the dense forest. The ladies looked at them in awe. Under the sunlight, their armor shone brightly. The iron helmets covered their faces, but it made them look even more stern and ferocious. The smell of iron and blood from the war hit them in the face. They seemed to be showing off as they rode their horses slowly past the ladies. A group of 20 people quickly disappeared into the grassland far away. Wow! Lung Cho exclaimed. Lung Qing also stared at them without blinking until they disappeared from her sight. Her eyes were shining. Chu Li looked at one of the cavalrymen thoughtfully. Lung Cho turned to look at him. Head chief, impressive, right? They are quite impressive. Chu Li smiled. Are they all elites from the frontier? Of course. They all have military merits. I heard that they have killed at least 2 Li Dynasty's cavalrymen. They are very powerful. Lung Qiu smiled. Chu Li nodded. Head chief, what did you see? Lung Qing asked. Her eyes were sharp enough to see that Chu Li's expression was strange. Chu Li frowned. One of the cavalrymen is not very appropriate. Inappropriate. Lung Qing was startled and asked in surprise, What do you mean inappropriate? Chu Li did not say a word. He replayed the actions of the cavalryman in his mind. Head chief, what do you mean? Lung Qing frowned. Chu Li pondered. Logically, this shouldn't have happened. Miss Qing, go to Prince Bao and tell him. It's better to be prepared. What is it? Lung Qing stared at him in dissatisfaction. Chu Li said, There might be a spy in the dark. A spy? Lung Qing was stunned. She shook her head. Impossible. These elite soldiers had gone through many rounds of checks to ensure that every one of them had a clean background. There was nothing suspicious about them. Otherwise, they would not have been sent to Fairy's capital and fought with the imperial princes. Chu Li smiled. I think it's impossible too, but I trust my own eyes more. Whether it's true or not, I'll tell Prince Bao. If anything happens, it won't be good. Prince Bao won't believe it. He'll definitely scold you. He'll say that you want to be in the limelight. Lung Qing shook her head. Chu Li could not help but laugh. Even if I get scolded, it's better than saying nothing. Yes, sister. Just tell him. The head chief won't make a mistake. Lung Qiu nodded. Lung Qing stared at her sister and sighed helplessly. All right, I'll go crazy with you for once. Your reputation as the head chief Chu is finally out. Chu Li smiled. Lung Qing did not ride her horse. She lifted her dress and walked to the front of the towering building. 2 middle-aged cavalrymen stood in front of the building quietly. Lung Qing closed fist saluted. She reported that she had something important to tell Prince Bao. The 2 cavalrymen opened the way for her to go upstairs. Her actions attracted the attention of the ladies. Lu Yurong squinted her eyes. She looked at Lung Qing and then at Chu Li. She had a feeling that Lung Qing's actions were related to Chu Li. Lung Qing carefully stepped on the stairs and went upstairs. Chapter 407. Prince Bao's back was facing her as he looked at the cavalryman from afar. His purple robe was fluttering in the wind. Standing here, his field of vision suddenly widened. The entire grassland was in front of him, and he could clearly see that the cavalrymen had split into 5 groups, each rushing in a different direction at an extremely fast speed. You're the eldest daughter of King En's family? Prince Bao turned his head around, his eyes shining as if he could see through her heart. Lung Qing greets Imperial Granduncle. Lung Qing curtsied. Prince Bao waved his hand. What do you want to say? Granduncle. The head chief of my residence said that there is a traitor in the cavalry. Lung Qing said calmly. Contrary to her imagination, Prince Bao's expression was calm when he heard this. Oh, there's a traitor? How can he be so sure that there's a traitor? Lung Qing shook her head. Little girl, what do you think? Prince Bao smiled. His tone was kind, not as harsh as the rumors said. However, Lung Qing did not relax. She said slowly, I don't think it's possible. Everyone here has to go through many layers of checks before they can enter. With so many layers of checks, it's impossible for a spy to sneak in. If there really is a traitor among us, then we have to be careful. Prince Bao shook his head and laughed. These elites are going to enter the palace to meet the emperor. What will happen if they go crazy when they meet the emperor? How many heads will roll on the ground? Yes, Lung Qing was starting to believe Chu Li. The head chief was meticulous. How could he not think of this? He even decided to tell Prince Bao about it. It was obvious that it was very likely to be true. Prince Bao sighed. Your head chief is called Chu Li, right? Imperial granduncle also knows about the head chief. Of course I have. Prince Bao smiled and said, the youngest rank one, how could I not know? The E-Public House really dares to mess around. High Duke Xiao is in isolated cultivation, and the young master of the Xiao clan is also a powerful figure. He actually dares to confer a first rank. Granduncle, what about the traitor? Lung Qing asked hesitantly. Prince Bao said, let's do it this way. Call Chu Li over and ask him about it. We can't underestimate the youngest rank. 1. Who knows, he might really have some amazing discoveries. Keep it quiet and don't make it public. Yes. Lung Qing nodded. Prince Bao said, this matter cannot be made public. Girl, you know the severity of this matter. Yes, granduncle, I understand, Lung Qing said softly. Go. Prince Bao waved his hand. Lung Qing retreated cautiously. Even though Prince Bao was amiable, she still felt a layer of cold sweat on her back. Standing in front of him, she could not help but feel nervous. She approached Chu Li and said a few words to him. Then she looked at him worriedly. If it was a false alarm, Chu Li would definitely suffer. Chu Li strode to the front of the building and climbed up. All the girls saw this and discussed in low voices, not knowing what was going on. Lu Yurong frowned. While talking to Lung Ying, she looked up at the tall building. Prince Bao stood in front of the railing with his hands behind his back. His purple robe fluttered in the wind as he stood with his back facing Chu Li. His aura was like the mountains and the seas as it pressed down on Chu Li. Chu Li activated the omniscient mirror and became clear-headed. He ignored the oppressive aura and gave a fist salute. Chu Li greets Prince Bao. I've heard a lot about you. When Prince Bao turned his head around, his immense force vanished without a trace. It seemed like it was just Chu Li's imagination. I wouldn't dare. Chu Li gave a fist salute and smiled. Prince Bao asked in a deep voice, You're saying that there's a traitor in the cavalry? Chu Li smiled. On the surface, Prince Bao looked calm as if he was not anxious at all. However, Chu Li could see that Prince Bao was the complete opposite. This matter involved too many people. If it was true, there would be many officials who would fall. Even as Prince Bao, he could not help but feel afraid when he thought about it. If I'm not wrong, there's a traitor. Prince Bao frowned. What evidence do you have? These people were selected through many rounds of selection. It's almost impossible for there to be a traitor. Chu Li said, Prince Bao, do you know what I do in the High Duke's public house? Glory'sville Courtyard? I heard that you're in charge of finding traitors. Prince Bao said slowly. Chu Li nodded. Although I'm young, I'm quite experienced in finding traitors. I don't rely on evidence but my intuition. If I'm not wrong, this spy should be a grandmaster. Impossible. Prince Bao said in a deep voice. Chu Li smiled. Why is it impossible? If it's a grandmaster from another dimension entering the fairy's capital, he'll definitely be discovered by the Imperial House protectors and be monitored. But what if he can hide his cultivation level? An innate master can still hide, but a grandmaster is like a candle in the night. How can he hide? Prince Bao shook his head and laughed. The techniques of hiding in the martial arts world are not reliable. They won't be able to hide from the masters of the fairy's capital. The Imperial House has a special detection technique. Chu Li said, this master can hide from them. As for the method, you'll have to ask him. That's all I have to say. It's up to you whether you believe me or not, Your Royal Highness. Prince Bao slapped the railing and weighed the pros and cons. If something went wrong during the hunting ceremony, it would shake the Imperial House and the Imperial Court. It was not a small matter. If he mobilized a large number of people, and it turned out to be a false alarm, he would be ridiculed by others. After a while, Prince Bao said slowly, "Although it's suspicious of us mobilizing a large number of people, there's always a contingency. We can't be too careful. Which one is it?" A cavalryman from the Red Army, Chu Li said. Prince Bao stared at him deeply. Chu Li smiled. "All right, I'll believe you this time. I hope that you, the youngest first rank, won't let me down." Prince Bao said in a deep voice. Chu Li smiled. "I won't let you down, Your Royal Highness." Prince Bao nodded and said in a deep voice, "Call the red team back." "Yes." A middle-aged cavalryman downstairs replied. The middle-aged cavalryman leaped onto his horse and urged the horse to gallop away. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from everyone's sight. Everyone was discussing. Lung Qing was summoned to the pagoda. Lu Yurong, Consort Lu, and Lung Ying followed. "Qing'er, what did you say to Prince Bao? Why did you summon the head chief over?" Song Luiying frowned. Lung Qing looked around and shook her head. "You little girl, hurry up and tell me," Song Luiying said impatiently. Lung Qing said faintly, "Mother, I can't say." "You—" Song Luiying frowned. Xuan Yu smiled. "This must be Prince Bao's order, right?" Lung Qing nodded. Lu Yurong smiled and said, "Let me guess, Chu Li must have noticed something wrong?" Lung Qing looked at her with her bright eyes and sighed. Chu Li was right. Lu Yurong's observation was really sharp. Lu Yurong said, "This problem must be serious, so it's better not to make it public. What's Chu Li's best at?" "What is it?" Lung Ying asked curiously. Lu Yurong smiled. "Young Ying, do you know what Chu Li did in the High Duke's public house?" "I don't know." Lung Ying shook her head. Although she was curious about this head chief Chu, she did not worship him. She did not want to understand him in detail. Lu Yurong said, "He was the chief of the Gloriesville Courtyard." The Gloriesville Courtyard is where the High Duke's public house specializes in finding traitors. "So, you know what Chu Li is best at?" "Catching traitors?" Lung Ying said. Lu Yurong nodded. "If that's the case, Chu Li found out that there's a traitor among the elite soldiers." Her clear eyes fell on Lung Qing's face. Lung Qing pursed her red lips and did not say a word. Chapter 408. P.S. The 8th Guild has been born. Its leader is Wind Dancer 5638. That's impossible. Princess Lu shook her head. Everyone looked at her. A smile appeared on Princess Lu's dignified and beautiful face. "From what I know, these elite cavalries have to go through 3 layers of checks before they enter Luoyang. The general's residence, the Ministry of War, and the secret guardians of the imperial house. If there is any ambiguity in their background, they will not appear in Luoyang." Realization dawned on all the women. While they knew that it would be difficult for the cavalry to enter Luoyang and that they would have to go through layers of checks, they did not know what they had to go through. Now that Consort Lu mentioned it, they finally understood. Thinking about it, they felt that the security was so tight that spies would not be able to get in. The general's residence, the Ministry of War, and even the secret guardians of the imperial house were all elites. No matter how powerful the spy was, they would not be able to hide it from these smart people. Lu Yurong's words would not hold water. "Auntie, I don't know how that traitor got in," Lu Yurong said with a smile, "but I know what Chu Li is capable of. All of my spies in the public house have been wiped out by him. Many of them were idlers that were never used at all. They did not show any signs at all, but he removed them all." "Chu Li has such abilities?" Consort Lu was surprised. She was not an ignorant young lady from a wealthy family, so she was quite knowledgeable about these matters. These idlers, who had never been used before, had never acted suspiciously and would not arouse suspicion. She also knew Lu Yurong's capabilities. These informants would only communicate through a single line. They did not know who their accomplices were, yet they were still taken out. It could only be said that Chu Li really had amazing capabilities. Lu Yurong smiled at Lung Qing. How did he know? Lung Qing shook his head. Lu Yurong smiled and said, whether it's true or not, we'll know soon enough. As he spoke, a group of cavalrymen with red strips of cloth tied around their arms thundered over. They stopped at the bottom of the stairs and remained motionless, as if they were frozen in place. There were 22 men in this group of cavalrymen. As they galloped, they had the momentum of a magnificent army. They sat motionless on their horses, and the horses didn't move either, emitting an indescribable pressure. The armor gleamed coldly under the sunlight, and the helmet covered its face, making it look ferocious and terrifying, as if it was a monster harvesting human lives. Let's go down and have a look, Prince Bao said. Chu Li asked, Your Royal Highness, aren't you afraid of causing a mutiny? As long as the evidence is conclusive, what can they say? Prince Bao shook his head and said, If we summon them alone, we'll attract a lot of suspicion. It's better to reveal everything in front of everyone. All right. Chu Li nodded. Prince Bao's thoughts were meticulous, and he was cautious with every step he took. He did not leave any evidence for others to use against him. This was not the style of a prince. He gave off a feeling of treading on thin ice. It seemed like it wasn't easy for him to become a prince. It wasn't as glorious as others thought it was. The two of them went downstairs and stood in front of the 22 knights. The gazes of the 22 knights pierced through their armors and landed on the two of them, their bodies emitting a baleful aura. Prince Bao turned to look at Chu Li. Which one? Chu Li pointed. Prince Bao sized up the knight that Chu Li had pointed out. He was tall and sturdy, standing out from the 22 knights. With a single glance, he could be recognized. The baleful aura on his body was almost tangible. He had killed many people and made many contributions. Prince Bao furrowed his brows. Logically speaking, this kind of person was not suitable to be a traitor. He was too conspicuous. His every move would be under the watchful eyes of others. If he made any inappropriate movements, people would notice. Moreover, when he saw this person's aura, he had a good impression of him. Such an awe-inspiring, heroic spirit made people feel respect for him. Is it really him? Prince Bao asked in a low voice. Chu Li nodded slowly. Everyone stared at the two of them. They did not know what they were talking about. All right, if that's the case, I'll believe you this time. Prince Bao turned and pointed at the tall knight. You, step forward. The tall knight tapped his heels lightly. The horse that he was riding on took a step forward and stopped in front of the two of them. Prince Bao said, Get off the horse and take off your helmet. The tall knight leaped off the horse lightly and took off his helmet, revealing a rough face and a heroic spirit. He took off his helmet and hung it on the saddle. He gave a fist salute. Breaking Wind Battalion's field officer, Zhou Zhixiong greets Your Royal Highness. Prince Bao sized up Zhou Zhixiong. No matter how he looked at him, he did not look like a traitor. He liked Zhou Zhixiong at first glance. Zhou Zhixiong had a heroic spirit and was a natural leader. With proper training, he would become a valiant general. Chu Li said, You're from the Li dynasty, right? Zhou Zhixiong was stunned. He frowned and stared at Chu Li in dissatisfaction. May I know where you're from? I was born in the Ji dynasty's Green Mountain Road and the Green Mountain Town. Oh, are you really from the Green Mountain Town? Chu Li smiled. Zhou Zhixiong stared at Chu Li coldly and turned to look at Prince Bao. Your Royal Highness, what is this brother's intention? I'm from the Green Mountain Town. Why did this brother say that I'm from the Li dynasty? This is Chu Li, the head chief of the imperial residence of King, and logically speaking, you've passed through many layers of checks. There should be no problem with your identity. However, head Chief Chu feels that you're a little suspicious. He wants to ask a few questions. Just answer him properly. Prince Bao smiled. Zhou Zhixiong stared at him and scoffed angrily. What enmity does head Chief Chu have with me? Why are you framing me? He was already frightening. When he stared at him, his aura became even more imposing. He was like a ferocious beast pouncing on Chu Li. Chu Li smiled. Since you're from the Green Mountain town, have you seen Lady Lu from the Ren public house? Of course, Zhou Zhixiong replied. Chu Li asked, then can you recognize which one is Lady Lu? He pointed at the pagoda in the distance. The ladies were sitting inside and looking at them. Zhou Zhixiong's mind raced. This could very well be a trap. Why would Lady Lu come to such an occasion? Lady Lu was the lady of the Ren public house. All the ladies here were from the imperial residence. It did not match with Lu Yurong's identity. However, what if there was something that he did not know? Lu Yurong might really be here. Zhou Zhixiong shook his head. Lady Lu always covers her face when she leaves the imperial residence. I've never seen her face. Prince Bao smiled. Then, can you recognize her from the back? Your Royal Highness, I don't have that kind of eyesight. I can't tell which one is Lady Lu from the back. Zhou Zhixiong said in a low voice. That's understandable. Prince Bao nodded and looked at Chu Li. Chu Li smiled. Zhou Zhixiong's brain was very quick. He had never seen Lu Yurong before. Yet, he could find an excuse to reject her. He was indeed from the Green Mountain town. Chu Li's question was to show weakness. He could only see that there was something wrong with Zhou Zhixiong. Whether there was something wrong with him, how it happened, how to prevent it, and where the loopholes were. These were things that could not be interrogated from Zhou Zhixiong. In that case, he had to worm his way out of him bit by bit. He had to see through his thoughts and obtain more information. Chief Chu, I'd like to ask you, what kind of grudge do we have against each other? Zhou Zhixiong scoffed. All of us risked our lives on the battlefield. We barely made it out alive. It was not easy for us to achieve military merits and enter the fairy's capital. Yet, we have to be suspected. Could it be that the Li dynasty's cavalrymen that I killed were fake? Could it be that my military merits were fake? All of my hard work has to be written off just because of a little suspicion from the head chief. I've become a traitor just because of your words. He turned to look at the cavalrymen. Brothers, are we soldiers so untrustworthy that we have to guard against us like thieves? That's right. That's right. The cavalryman scoffed in a low voice. Zhou Zhixiong had high prestige among the crowd. He had achieved many military merits. Seeing that he was being treated like this, the cavalrymen sympathized with him. They could not help but feel angry and stared at Chu Li with dissatisfaction. Head Chief Chu, what evidence do you have? You don't have any evidence. You're just saying that I'm a traitor. This is too much. One of the cavalrymen scoffed. Chapter 409. Chu Li smiled. Does Crown Prince Tao know this field officer Zhou? Lung Tao scoffed. I'm not familiar with this field officer, Zhou, but I can't just watch you falsely accuse a good person. So what if he's the head chief? He needs evidence. That's good, Chu Li said. If Crown Prince Tao is really familiar with Field Officer Zhou, then it'll be troublesome. Field Officer Zhou, how about this? We won't investigate your background. Humph, Zhou Zhixiong said coldly. Then I'll have to thank Head Chief Chu for admitting that I'm from the great Ji dynasty. Chu Li said, Field Officer Zhou has made many contributions too. I really admire those who have made contributions on the battlefield. Huh, Zhou Zhixiong gave him a sidelong glance. I couldn't tell. Chu Li shook his head. It's because I admire these meritorious elites that I can't tolerate anyone betraying them. Head Chief Chu, I'd like to ask, what do you dislike about me that makes you insist that I'm a traitor? Zhou Zhixiong frowned. We have no grievances in the past and no grudges recently, right? Chu Li said, we have no grievances in the past and no grudges recently. Why do I have to make things difficult for you and not others? It's because I'm too eye-catching. Zhou Zhixiong scoffed. Using me to show off your power as the head chief? To let us know that no matter how great our contributions are outside, we have to be honest in the fairy's capital. Chu Li laughed. That's interesting. The fairy's capital is full of hidden talents. If you're really capable, you can do whatever you want. Even if you talk back to His Royal Highness, no one will punish you. Humph, we wouldn't dare. Zhou Zhixiong sneered. How would a lowly soldier have the guts? Even if you behave well, you'll still be bullied. Out of 10 contributions, we'll deduct 8 points. We'll be grateful if you're left with 2 points. His words made the cavalrymen behind him look colder. They looked at Chu Li with hostility. Chu Li said, Field Officer Zhou, I admire your eloquence. You're also brave in battle. It's a shame that you can't be used by the great Ji dynasty. What a shame, what a shame. Shut up, Zhou Zhixiong shouted. Chu Li, I swear I'll kill you. Chu Li smiled at him. All the girls in the gazebo were staring at them. The two of them were speaking in a rather loud voice, and the gentle breeze carried their words over. He's from Qingshan City, Lu Yurong said. Cousin, do you know him? Lung Ying hurriedly asked. Lu Yurong nodded. Yes. You know him? Lung Ying said in surprise. So he's not a traitor. Lu Yurong said. He can be considered talented. He was promoted to commandant at such a young age. It's rare to see someone like that in Green Mountain City. I've seen him with my own eyes and investigated him. Lung Ying said, since he's from the Ji dynasty, he can't be a traitor, right? Lung Qing and Lung Qiu frowned. Song Luiying and Xuaningyu looked at Xiao Shi worriedly. If he were to make a mistake and make a big deal out of it, Chu Li would be in big trouble. He would definitely provoke the wrath of these cavalrymen who had performed meritorious deeds. They might even demand an explanation and vent all the dissatisfaction they had accumulated over the years on Chu Li. In order to appease the anger of these elite soldiers, the imperial court might have to punish Chu Li. Xiao Shi smiled faintly. This Chu Li was stirring up trouble again. Xueling and Yang Su also looked calm. The three women knew Chu Li's ability to get rid of traitors. He's from the Ji dynasty, but it's hard to say if he's a traitor. Lu Yurong shook her head. Yang Ying, traitors aren't all from the Li dynasty. I think this Commandant Zhou is a hero. How does he look like a traitor? Lung Ying was unconvinced. One look, and you can tell he's a man of steel. He's open and above board. He's broad-minded. Lu Yurong burst into laughter. She pursed her lips and smiled. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Isn't it said that a book is born from its cover? Lung Ying said. If a bad person has a malicious heart, it will naturally show on their face. One look, and you can tell. That might not be true. Lu Yurong smiled. Anyway, I think this Commandant Zhou is a hero. He's not a traitor. Lung Ying scoffed. She turned to look at Lung Qiu and Lung Qing. Sister Qiu, Sister Qing, do you think this Commandant Zhou is a hero? Both of them looked hesitant. Lung Ying smiled proudly at Lu Yurong. Sister Qiu and Sister Qing think the same as me. You guys, Lu Yurong shook her head and smiled. If you look at people like that, you'll suffer in the future. Watch carefully. Zhou Zhixiong's voice was heard again. It was overbearing. He said loudly, Head Chief Chu, I didn't think that there's someone as despicable as you in the Ji dynasty. We're fighting with our lives on the battlefield, but we still have to guard against despicable people like you. You're not giving us soldiers a way out. That's right. That's right. The cavalrymen stared at Chu Li agitatedly. They were ready to rush over and teach him a lesson. In their eyes, Chu Li was a despicable person. He was jealous of the virtuous and capable. He framed them, the heroes of the battlefield. How despicable! Chu Li calmly faced everyone's angry stares. He sized them up one by one. Surname Chu, what evidence do you have? If you don't, then get lost. We still have to go and earn some merit. Lung Tao's voice was heard again. Chu Li ignored Lung Tao. He said slowly, My fellow soldiers, I have a question. Everyone stared at him coldly, without saying a word. Chu Li said, Do you know about the Holy Church of Light? Everyone's expression changed slightly under their helmets. Chu Li smiled. The Holy Church of Light believes in Vairocana. It's a super-rank sect in the Li dynasty. The followers of the church have vowed to turn themselves into the sun in this dark world. They will shine brightly and relieve the suffering of all living beings. Why are you talking about the Holy Church of Light again? We're talking about traitors. Lung Tao said, unhappily. Chu Li said, Among the soldiers, is there anyone who believes in this church? No one said a word. Chu Li sighed. Field Officer Zhou, what about you? Do you believe in the Holy Church of Light? Surname Chu, you're running out of excuses, aren't you? Zhou Zhixiong said coldly. You're rambling on and on. You still haven't explained why you're framing me. This time it's me. What about next time? Are you going to randomly frame someone else because you're in a bad mood? Chu Li smiled. Seems like Field Officer Zhou believes in the Holy Church of Light. There are many believers in the Ji dynasty, right? Zhou Zhixiong sneered and said nothing. Chu Li said, Which believer helped you? Surname Chu, you're a despicable person. I don't know anything about the Holy Church of Light. Zhou Zhixiong scoffed. That's easy. I'll draw a logo of the Holy Church of Light. You can just step on it. Chu Li nodded. I'll step on it then. You're really vicious. Not only did you frame me as a traitor, you're also a follower of the Holy Church of Light. Zhou Zhixiong scoffed. Chu Li turned his head and said, Your Royal Highness, please give me a brush and ink. Prince Bao waved his hand. A middle-aged knight went upstairs and quickly brought a table down. There were brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table. The middle-aged knight ground the ink himself. Chapter 4:10. Chu Li looked at the white paper and let go of it. The white paper fluttered to Zhou Zhixiong's feet, and he could step on it with just one step. Commandant Zhou, please. Chu Li stretched out his hand and said with a straight face, If Field Officer Zhou steps on it, I will immediately kowtow to Field Officer Zhou and apologize. Everyone was stunned. They looked at Chu Li, then at Zhou Zhixiong. They did not expect Chu Li to have the guts to say such a thing. He wanted to kowtow and apologize. A man's knees were gold. Even if he saw the emperor, he could only bow to the heavens, the earth, and his parents. Apart from that, he could not kneel to anyone else. Chu Li's words had forced him into a corner. If Chu Li really knelt down, he would become a laughingstock. They stared at Zhou Zhixiong. After a long while, Zhou Zhixiong did not move. They were secretly anxious. This was a good opportunity to ruthlessly slap him in the face and make him kneel. Why was Commandant Zhou hesitating? Chu Li said, "Field Officer Zhou, you only need to step on it lightly, and I'll kowtow to you. I won't go back on my words in front of everyone." Zhou Zhixiong lowered his head and stared at the painting. This painting was vivid and lifelike. The radiant sun could not be more lifelike. He could not draw it like this. All he had to do was step on Chu Li lightly, and he would be able to force him to kneel, prove his innocence, and at the same time, give himself a way out. The endless temptation made him step on it. However, he was unable to move his feet. Chu Li looked at him quietly and said in a low voice, "Field Officer Zhou, the Holy Church of Light is a sect of the Li dynasty. You believe in the Holy Church of Light, so I don't have to say anything more, right? What a pity, you had a bright future." He shook his head as he spoke. Zhou Zhixiong fiercely raised his head and glared at him, his eyes burning like a raging fire. "Surname Chu, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost." As soon as he finished speaking, he took out a dagger from his bosom and fiercely stabbed it into his left chest. Then he slowly fell down, his body pressing down on the white paper. "Commandant Zhou!" Everyone exclaimed. They were shocked. They didn't expect Zhou Zhixiong to directly pull out his sword and commit suicide. The change was sudden and tragic, and they were so shocked that they became absent-minded. Such a heroic figure didn't die on the battlefield, but in the immortals' capital. Moreover, he committed suicide. A nameless rage burned in their chests, as if it wanted to burn them up. Prince Bao looked at Chu Li. Chu Li sighed and looked down at Zhou Zhixiong. "Surname Chu, you're ruthless enough." Lung Tao shouted angrily, "You forced an elite soldier to his death." Everyone's eyes were blazing like torches. Just a little provocation, and they would pounce on him. Chu Li calmly looked at the crowd and asked, "Is there anyone else who believes in the Holy Church of Light?" Lung Tao roared, "You're a traitor just because you believe in the Holy Church of Light. You've gone too far." Chu Li glanced at him. He shook his head inwardly. This reckless brat doesn't know how serious this matter is. Lung Tao glared at him, unwilling to be outdone. He abruptly pushed his helmet up and revealed his face. "Chu Li, tell me clearly, why are you a traitor just because you believe in the Holy Church of Light?" Just because of this Holy Church of Light, they forced Field Officer Zhou to his death? How many cavalrymen of the Li dynasty have he killed? How dare you suspect that he's a mole of the Li dynasty? Chu Li, you're too vicious. The cavalrymen gritted their teeth and clenched their fists. They glared at Chu Li and were about to attack. Chu Li calmly asked, "Do you think he's dead?" A stab to the heart, and he's still not dead? Chu Li, I didn't expect you to be such a despicable person. I must have been blind to think that you're a young talent. Uffed, scoffed Lung Tao. Chu Li suddenly waved his hand. Slap! A crisp sound was heard. Lung Tao's helmet flew off, and a palm print instantly appeared on his face. It was as red as blood. "Idiot!" Chu Li looked at him in annoyance. He turned his head and calmly looked at the cavalrymen who were about to charge at him. Lung Tao did not want to seek justice. He wanted to take the opportunity to incite the crowd to attack Chu Li. Humph! Prince Bao scoffed and glanced at them coldly. "How dare you all?" His scoff was like a clap of thunder that rang in the ears of the cavalrymen. It shocked them so much that their minds went blank and their bodies went numb. Chu Li said, "If I'm not mistaken, Field Officer Zhou's heart is on the right side, so the stab wasn't fatal." "Oh." Prince Bao smiled. "Is there such a thing?" He waved his hand, and a middle-aged cavalryman in front of the building was about to step forward. He did not seem to care about Chu Li slapping Lung Tao as if he did not see it. Chu Li quickly stretched out his hand. "Wait," Prince Bao said. "What's wrong?" Chu Li sighed. "Your Royal Highness, let's ask them to step back first." "We won't step back. We must see if it's true or not. We can't be fooled by you." Lung Tao covered his face and roared. Chu Li said, "Zhou Zhixiong is a grandmaster. Are you really not going to step back?" "Stop joking." Lung Tao stared at him with hatred and sneered. "If he is a grandmaster, I am an enlightened master. That's why I said you're stupid." Chu Li shook his head. Prince Bao waved his hand. "All of you, step back 10 feet. The cavalryman did not move. Prince Bao scoffed. "Why? My words don't work anymore?" "Yes." The cavalryman stepped back 30 meters. Chu Li said, "Zhou Zhixiong, stop pretending to be dead. Whether you can escape or not will depend on your true abilities." "Chu Li." Zhou Zhixiong suddenly stood up. There was a dagger in his right chest. He pulled out the dagger himself. Only a trace of blood flowed out. Not only did he not look like he was injured, but he was also in high spirits. He looked more heroic, and his gaze was as sharp as a sword. He kept the dagger in his chest and said solemnly, "Chu, how did you know that I am a disciple of the Holy Church?" Chu Li said, "I guessed. I was just testing you. I didn't expect my guess to be right. The Holy Church of Light has quite a number of followers in the fairies' capital, right? You can ask others on the way to the underworld. I'm going to kill you." Zhou Zhixiong said calmly. "Chu Li must be killed. Otherwise, he would be a huge threat to the Holy Church. First, he faked his death, then he had the void concealment divine technique. Either one of them was a way to turn the situation around. However, Chu Li easily broke through it without any effort. With him around, the disciples of the Holy Church would be in danger. He must be eliminated." Chu Li smiled. "I really want to know how you managed to hide your cultivation level." Zhou Zhixiong said calmly, "The Holy Church of Light has countless divine skills. It's just a small trick." As expected, the Holy Church of Light has such a heart technique. If that's the case, there are quite a number of masters from the Holy Church of Light hiding in the fairies' capital. "So what?" Zhou Zhixiong said, "Can you recognize them one by one? They might be someone you know, or even your family. The disciples of the Holy Church are everywhere. We can never kill them all." As soon as he said that, he charged at Chu Li and swung his fist. "I shall eliminate you, demon, on behalf of the disciples of the Holy Church." Chu Li waved his hand, and the white paper on the ground floated into his hand. He avoided Zhou Zhixiong's fist force and glided backward. "Your Royal Highness." Prince Bao scoffed angrily. "Something's wrong." He took a step forward and stood in front of Zhou Zhixiong. He gently struck him with his palm. Bam! Zhou Zhixiong flew 10 feet away and turned to leave. Trying to escape, Prince Bao sneered and struck him with his palm again. Bam! Zhou Zhixiong, who was 10 feet away, flew away as if he was hit by a huge wooden block. Prince Bao took another step forward and stood in front of him. He lightly struck him again. Woo! Zhou Zhixiong fiercely struck his fist. The fist force produced a strange whistling sound. Bam! Zhou Zhixiong flew away again. Suddenly, he flashed in the air and disappeared. Prince Bao frowned. He squinted his eyes and looked around. Chapter 411. Prince Bao's face was cold as he looked around. He felt that Zhou Zhixiong was not far away. "Bring me the arrows." Prince Bao scoffed. A middle-aged rider entered the building and quickly came out with a purple longbow and a quiver of colorful arrows. He presented them with both hands. Prince Bao took the purple longbow and reached out to pick up 3 colorful arrows. He pulled the bow lightly and shot them. Then he picked up another 3 arrows and shot them. The first 3 arrows were not fast, but the last 3 were slightly faster. His right hand did not stop. 3 arrows were shot out one after another. Each arrow was faster than the last. In the blink of an eye, the quiver of arrows was shot out. The colorful arrows filled the air and were pushed far away. Chu Li's expression did not change as he shook his head. Prince Bao's archery was indeed powerful. He alone was equivalent to a team of archers. However, no matter how dense or fast the arrows were, if they were shot in the wrong direction, they would not hit their target. Zhou Zhixiong was not even in that direction. Zhou Zhixiong's martial arts was strange. It was similar to the legendary invisibility technique. He moved without a sound and was able to fool Prince Bao's spirit sense. A master like Prince Bao had a profound cultivation level, and his intuition was more accurate. Zhou Zhixiong's cultivation level was not as good as Prince Bao's, but he could hide from his intuition. It was not luck, but a secret skill. Prince Bao's expression was solemn. He threw the purple bow back and scoffed. "Holy Church of Light." He glanced at everyone coldly. Lung Tao shrunk his body and tried not to attract attention. However, his chubby body was very conspicuous. The more he shrunk, the more ridiculous he looked. Prince Bao did not seem to see him. After he glanced at everyone coldly, he said, "If anyone were to tell anyone about what happened today, don't blame me for turning against you." The cavalrymen kept quiet out of fear. Their previous imposing manner disappeared. They never thought that the hero Zhou Zhixiong was actually a traitor. They were too stupid. Chu Li said, "Your Royal Highness, they have nothing to do with Field Officer Zhou." "No problem." "This time, thanks to you, Chu Li. Otherwise, I would have lost all my face." Prince Bao's expression softened. Chu Li closed fist saluted and smiled. "All right, all of you go do what you were supposed to do. If you can win, you will still be given 1 medium-ranked military merit." Prince Bao waved his hand and said, "Thank you, Your Royal Highness." The cavalryman closed fist saluted. "Go." Prince Bao waved his hand. Everyone turned their horses around and galloped away as if they were escaping, their backs revealing a sorry figure. Lung Tao hopped onto his horse and chased after them. As Prince Bao watched him leave, he shook his head and sighed. The princes nowadays are getting worse with each generation. Chu Li smiled. They're lacking some experience. They'll be able to use it in a few years. Let's hope so. I was thinking of going home early to rest. I don't want to move these old bones of mine anymore. Prince Bao shook his head and sighed. But these juniors don't live up to expectations. There's nothing I can do. Chu Li smiled. Do you have a way to catch up to Zhou Zhixiong? Prince Bao said, I saw you take that piece of paper. He pointed at the white paper in Chu Li's hand. The sun on the white paper was still vivid and lifelike, but there was a bloodstain on it. Prince Bao knew about King En's meritorious service, and he also knew that Chu Li possessed the all-seeing divine power, so he did not bother to chase after him earlier. Chu Li said, I want to see how many people from the Holy Church of Light are left in Fairy's capital. I didn't expect the Holy Church of Light to send people to Fairy's capital. Prince Bao frowned. Did the Holy Church of Light cause trouble in the past? No. Their forces are only limited to the Li dynasty. They don't enter the Ji dynasty. Prince Bao shook his head. Chu Li pondered. Is it related to the Tempest Temple and the 4 major sects? That's right. The disciples of the Tempest Temple won't enter the Li dynasty, and the Holy Church of Light won't come to the Ji dynasty either. This is their tacit understanding. The Holy Church of Light has been following the rules all these years. I didn't expect that they could no longer hold it in anymore. Chu Li said, maybe their strength has skyrocketed, and they don't care about the agreement anymore. It could also be that the Li dynasty's cavalry is about to enter the Ji dynasty, and they're the vanguard. Prince Bao's expression was solemn. There were only 2 middle-aged knights around, and they spoke softly so no one else could hear them. Prince Bao said, Chu Li, you have to be careful. Chu Li nodded slowly. He understood what Prince Bao meant. These super-ranked sects were awe-inspiring, and they would not tolerate anyone offending them. For example, the Tempest Temple, once they offended them, they would definitely hunt them down and kill them. The Tempest Temple might have seen that he had obtained the inheritance of the Titanium Temple, and that was why they let it go. Otherwise, they would still be looking for opportunities to kill him. The Holy Church of Light must be equally overbearing, and since he had ruined their plans today, they would definitely think of ways to kill him. He had gotten himself into big trouble this time. There were gains and losses, and that was the law of the world. Sai, once the Holy Church of Light makes a move, there will be a bloodbath. Prince Bao shook his head and sighed. Peaceful days never last long. Your Royal Highness, in this situation, how will the imperial court deal with it? Shouldn't we leave the matters of the martial arts world to the martial arts world? Chu Li pondered. They broke the tacit understanding, and the 4 major sects won't just sit and watch. However, the 4 major sects only care about the martial arts world. The fairies' capital still depends on the imperial court. Prince Bao sighed. We don't have to worry about the 4 major sects. Chu Li nodded. The key is still the fairies' capital. Yes, the martial arts of the Holy Church of Light are different from the martial arts of the great Ji dynasty. They each have their own wonders. You must be careful when you fight them. Don't fail miserably, just like Zhou Zhixiong this time. He managed to deceive me. And if he really attacks the emperor, even if he can't hurt my brother, it will still damage the reputation of the great Ji dynasty. This would reveal the incompetence of the imperial court of the great Ji dynasty, as they actually allowed a traitor to get close to the emperor, weakening the authority of the great Ji imperial family and boosting the morale of the other party. Chu Li said, Your Royal Highness, I'm not worried about him attacking the emperor, but the princes and the imperial crown princes. Prince Bao's expression changed slightly. Chu Li's words hit the nail on the head. If the disciples of the Holy Church of Light could hide from him, they could also hide from the imperial residence of the princes. With Zhou Zhixiong's martial arts, he could assassinate the princes, and if the disciples of the Holy Church of Light attacked together, how many princes would be lucky enough to escape? Let's look for Zhou Zhixiong now. Prince Bao said. Chu Li nodded. Prince Bao called a middle-aged knight over and gave him some instructions. The middle-aged knight brought 2 horses over, and Chu Li and Prince Bao got on the horses and left. Lu Yurong squinted her eyes, quietly listening to the conversation between Chu Li and Prince Bao. Her cultivation level was high, and everything that happened earlier was heard by her, reflected in her eyes, as if she was standing at the side and watching. The women in the gazebo did not speak. They were all in shock. They were not far away. They could clearly see what happened over there. When they saw Zhou Zhixiong commit suicide, Lang Ying and the other 2 women exclaimed. And when Zhou Zhixiong got up and then suddenly attacked, they could not believe it. In the end, Zhou Zhixiong escaped, and they were shocked. To be able to escape in front of Prince Bao, this Zhou Zhixiong's martial arts was really powerful. What was even more unbelievable was that this Zhou Zhixiong was really a traitor. Younger sister Qiu, Sister Qing, your head chief has done a meritorious deed again. Lung Ing pouted and scoffed. Lung Xiao and Lung Qing smiled. Lu Yurong shook her head and smiled. Meritorious deed. More like courting death. Xiao Shi frowned as she looked at Chu Li's receding figure. A traitor who could sneak into this place was not simple. To provoke such a person, there would be no peaceful days in the future. Princess Lu turned her head and smiled. Younger sister Xiao, this head chief Chu is really smart and powerful. He's the best at getting into trouble. Xiao Shi smiled. Princess Lu smiled. It's okay to get into trouble, but to be able to solve it is a skill. To be able to be valued by the imperial uncle, head chief Chu will definitely have a bright future. Chapter 412. Chu Li and Prince Bao galloped on their horses and quickly passed through the grassland, continuing their journey south. Your Royal Highness, should we call for more people? This matter should not be publicized. It's better for the two of us to handle it. I'm just afraid that we can't handle it and let it escape. If I can't stop it, it's useless no matter how many people there are. Chu Li smiled. Your Royal Highness is right. Chu Li, what kind of contribution did you make in the High Duke's public house that the eldest master of the Shao family promoted you to rank 1? This is not a good thing. Rank 1 is too much. Prince Bao said gently. Chu Li was too young. If he was promoted to rank 1 at such a young age, it would not be a good thing for him in the future. Chu Li said, It's nothing much. I've saved the lady a few times, helped the High Duke's public house fend off a few attacks from the Rin public house. The Rin public house. Prince Bao nodded. That niece of King Jing is a powerful character, and she's a woman. She really puts many men to shame. Chu Li smiled. Yes, Lu Yurong is indeed powerful. I'm aware of the grudge between you and Prince Bao smiled. Chu Li was startled and smiled. He immediately understood that Prince Bao was reminding him that the Emperor was aware of the grudge between him and Prince and his little tricks could not be hidden from the Emperor. Was this a warning? Prince Bao looked at his expression and knew that he understood. He liked smart people like him. And he also owed him a big favor, so he wanted to say a few more words. He said in a deep voice, As long as no lives are lost, my brother will not care. Jade, that is not cut, will not be useful. Any prince who becomes successful will encounter a strong opponent and suffer. It is just like forging a sword. If it is not hammered 1,000 times, how can it be forged into an invincible sword? Chu Li said, The Emperor is using me as a whetstone. It's good that you understand. Prince Bao said, As long as you don't cross my brother's bottom line, he won't do anything to you. Instead, he will give you some benefits. You must grasp the opportunity. Don't mess it up. Chu Li said, Does the Emperor agree to Prince and cultivating the Azura power technique? What's there to disagree about? Prince Bao smiled. Are you worried that the killing will be too much? Yes. Chu Li said, I heard from the monks of the Tempest Temple that once this Azura power technique is mastered, even an enlightened master would be helpless against him. His murderous heart will bring disaster to the world. The monks of the great Thunderclap monastery think differently from my brother. Prince Bao said, faintly, There's no right or wrong in killing, it just depends on who you're killing. If King An really manages to master it, you can just send it to the Li dynasty. Chu Li was stunned, and his heart turned cold. Was this the temperament of an emperor? He pretended not to hear it, and said with a smile, When your majesty was young, you also encountered strong opponents, right? Yes. Prince Bao nodded. Chu Li muttered, If I were to guess, it should be a monk from the Tempest Temple, right? You are indeed smart, Prince Bao said with a smile. Moreover, that monk has also achieved the enlightened mastery's boundary. Chu Li smiled. Prince Bao shook his head and sighed. I'm a little afraid of your intelligence. Chu Li said, Your Royal Highness, I'd like to ask, how can I step into the enlightened mastery's boundary? Step into the enlightened master's boundary. Prince Bao muttered to himself. When Chu Li saw his expression, he immediately understood that Prince Bao knew the key to it. He suppressed his excitement and smiled at Prince Bao. Prince Bao pondered for a moment and finally shook his head with a smile. The enlightened mastery's boundary, forget it. Chu Li raised his eyebrows. He understood that Prince Bao did not want to say it. It was obvious that the enlightened mastery's boundary contained a huge secret that could not be easily revealed. It was unusually precious. Your Royal Highness, you don't know either? Chu Li smiled. Prince Bao said, It doesn't matter whether I know or not. Other than my brother and the monk from the Tempest Temple, it's impossible for anyone else to step into the enlightened mastery's boundary. Chu Li, you don't have to waste your energy to pursue that illusory thing. Chu Li was getting more curious. He had already activated the omniscient mirror to see the secret of the enlightened mastery's boundary. He saw a person in Prince Bao's mind. He looked like Prince Bao, but he was more dignified and solemn, and he was not angry at all. That should be the current emperor. In Prince Bao's eyes, the emperor was fearsome and terrifying, but he was not at all amiable. Chu Li said, Your Royal Highness, I'm really curious. If I were to put it in one sentence, how can I reach the enlightened mastery's boundary? Prince Bao smiled, wanting to become an enlightened master. In the end, it's all for naught. Why bother? Please grant my wish, Your Royal Highness. Chu Li fist saluted. Prince Bao sighed. He slowly said, All right, I can only say 4 words. Supreme, this is the key to becoming an enlightened master. Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Chu Li was overjoyed. Prince Bao said, What can I do even if I don't know? Supreme, you mean you want to be the best in the world, right? Chu Li smiled. Sitting on the throne is supreme, and that monk from the Tempest Temple must be the strongest in martial arts. So it's also supreme. That's how he became an enlightened master. Prince Bao shook his head and smiled. You're really amazing. Think about it. You're a grandmaster. Can you defeat an enlightened master from the Tempest Temple? If you can't, how can you talk about being supreme? That's why, as long as the monk from the Tempest Temple is alive, you can forget about it. An enlightened master's lifespan is very long. You won't be able to outlast him. Chu Li smiled. No matter what, I finally understand how to go. Oh, right. Other than this, there are other ways, right? Other ways. Prince Bao said, The 4 major sects have a set of ways to become an enlightened master. You won't be able to get it. Unless you're the heir of the heir, it's impossible for you to inherit the enlightened master's inheritance. Chu Li was surprised. If that's the case, Green Deer Cliff, Amethyst Mountain, and Titanium Temple have all produced enlightened masters. Yes, all of them have, but that was 500 years ago. For 500 years, only the Tempest Temple has produced an enlightened master. The other 3 sects have never produced one again. Prince Bao said, Why not? Chu Li asked. Prince Bao frowned. There are many different opinions. Most people say that because spirit beasts no longer appear, the spiritual energy outside the 100,000 hills is getting thinner. It's very difficult to produce enlightened masters again. So there's only one way to become an enlightened master, supreme. I see. Chu Li pondered and nodded. Shao Qi's regal sword scripture was very mysterious. It might not be inferior to the enlightened master's inheritance of the 4 major sects, but it was hard to say if it could break the shackles and become an enlightened master. He had the life and death scripture. This was an advantage that others did not have. He did not lack spiritual energy. If he could obtain the enlightened master's inheritance of the 4 major sects, he might be able to break through and become an enlightened master. Thinking about this, every pore on his body was excited. He also had the heavenly demonic power, the origin of which was very powerful. If he could study and cultivate it, he might be able to step into the enlightened master's boundary. Prince Bao saw the change in his expression. He shook his head and laughed. It was as if he was looking at his younger self. Is it here? Prince Bao saw a mountain villa appear on the opposite mountain. He turned to look at Chu Li. Chu Li looked up and nodded. It's hidden here. Chapter 413. Both of them got off their horses and tied the reins to a tree by the roadside. Then they used their light body technique to arrive at the villa. The villa did not occupy a large area. It was designed according to a circular forest. There were rockery, winding paths, flowing water, trees, and flowers. There was also a small lake in the backyard where a small boat swam. There was a waterside pavilion on the lake. When both of them entered the villa, they saw a bloody scene. Under the rockery, 2 servants were brutally murdered. The rocks were dyed dark red. In the flower bed, a maid was murdered. Her eyes were wide open and her face was filled with fear and pleading. In the backyard, 2 corpses of the servants were floating on the lake. The originally picturesque villa had now turned into a shuraba. Prince Bao and Chu Li walked through the quiet villa with gloomy faces. They arrived at the backyard and saw Zhou Zhixiong and a fat middle-aged man in the pagoda. The middle-aged man was sitting opposite Zhou Zhixiong. His face was pale. It looked like both of them were having a conversation. Zhou Zhixiong was holding a silver cup and slowly swirling it. He looked calm. The fat middle-aged man was trembling slightly. He sat still with cold sweat on his forehead. When he saw Prince Bao and Chu Li, the fat middle-aged man quickly signaled them to run. Prince Bao pointed at the floating corpses on the lake and said coldly, "Zhou Zhixiong, did you do this?" Zhou Zhixiong replied, "Your Royal Highness, forgive me for not being able to welcome you. I'm just sending them on their way. Instead of suffering in this world, it's better to enter the ultimate land of bliss. Sending them on their way. I'll send you on your way too." Prince Bao's face was gloomy. He was not angry. Chu Li looked at Zhou Zhixiong and the fat middle-aged man. Zhou Zhixiong said, "Your Royal Highness, Zhang Xuanli owns 1,000 acres of land. He's a philanthropist and has done countless good deeds. If I bring him along, you won't come after me, right?" "Humph, Zhou Zhixiong, you still want to leave?" Prince Bao said, "Doesn't the Holy Church of Light emphasize on sacrificing oneself for righteousness? Why don't you give up your body, but hold innocent people hostage?" "I can't give up my useful body." Zhou Zhixiong shook his head. "If your Royal Highness really comes after me, I'll have to kill Zhang Xuanli first before escaping." "Kill me!" Zhang Xuanli shouted. "I don't want to live anymore." Prince Bao said, "Zhou Zhixiong, let him go, and I can spare your life." He. Zhou Zhixiong laughed and shook his head. "Does your Highness think that I am a 3-year-old child? How could you believe this? You can either let him go and we'll spare your life, or you can kill him and we'll kill you to avenge him." Prince Bao said, "It's impossible for you to escape unscathed today. You'd better give up on this idea. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless." Zhou Zhixiong laughed loudly and slammed his palm on Zhang Xuanli's shoulder. "Ah!" Zhang Xuanli let out a blood-curdling scream as his right arm drooped down. His white and fat face became even paler, without a trace of blood. "How dare you?" Prince Bao scoffed. Zhou Zhixiong calmly retracted his left palm and said with a smile, "Your Highness, it seems like you don't care about his life or death." "That's true, but he's just a rich man from the countryside. It doesn't matter if he dies or not. All right, I'll kill him first, so he doesn't get in the way." Prince Bao hurriedly waved his hand. Wait, Zhou Zhixiong smiled. I've heard that Prince Bao is compassionate towards the common people. You're really not bad. Has your Highness changed your mind? All right, I'll let you go. If you let him go, I'll let you go. Prince Bao said coldly. Your Highness, words alone are no proof. Moreover, even if you let me go, Chu Li will still come after me. Zhou Zhixiong said with a smile. Chu Li said, Zhou Zhixiong, the Royal Highness has spoken. How can I disobey? Don't worry, just go. How did you catch up to me? Zhou Zhixiong scoffed. Chu Li shook his head. I have my ways. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, we'll still be able to catch up to you. So, it's not a big deal to let you go this time. You're quite capable. If that's the case, Your Highness, make an oath. Zhou Zhixiong sneered. Prince Bao said coldly, I swear that if you let him go, I won't chase after you today. All right, Your Highness is a straightforward person. What about you, Chu Li? Zhou Zhixiong smiled and looked at Chu Li. I swear that if you let go of this Zhang Yuanwei, we won't chase after you today. Chu Li said, straightforward. No wonder I've killed so many people. Zhou Zhixiong shook his head and smiled. Zhou Zhixiong, you can't escape. If I don't chase after you today, I'll continue tomorrow. Where can you run to in one day? Chu Li said calmly. Hee, you don't have to worry about that, head chief. Zhou Zhixiong smiled as he extended his right palm and patted Zhang Xuanli's left chest. This time, he won't die, but without you guys to extend his life, he'll die. I didn't kill him, did I? He laughed out loud and flew out of the pagoda. His toes touched a corpse on the surface of the lake, and he leaped up again, flying over the wall of the backyard. Bang! A muffled sound was heard. Zhou Zhixiong suddenly flew backward and fell to the ground, rolling around in pain. Chu Li smiled. Miss Lu, thank you. Lu Yurong glided over the wall and landed in front of the two. She curtsied. Your Highness. Prince Bao nodded. It's all thanks to your intelligence this time. Lu Yurong smiled faintly. As long as your Highness doesn't mind me for being a busybody. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhou Zhixiong suddenly flipped over and turned into a shadow. He instantly appeared in front of Chu Li. Chu Li took a step to the side and avoided his fist. Bang! The fist force blasted a hole in the ground. Bang, 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 bang. Zhou Zhixiong was like a shadow attached to Chu Li. He was extremely fast, and his fist force was continuous as if it was endless. Wherever Chu Li dodged, holes appeared on the ground. Chu Li relied on his body movement technique to dodge and did not fight him head-on. Zhou Zhixiong had already activated his secret skill and could not maintain it for long. Zhang Xuanli's arms drooped, and his face was pale. He slowly walked over. Your Highness, thank you for saving my life, he said as he bowed. Prince Bao waved his hand. No need to be so courteous. Your Highness saved my life. I will kowtow to thank you, he said as he bent his knees and knelt on the ground. There's no need for that. Prince Bao extended his hand to help him up. Zhang Xuanli suddenly extended both his palms and pressed towards Prince Bao's chest like lightning. Bang! Chu Li suddenly appeared in front of Prince Bao and caught both of Zhang Xuanli's palms. Both of them took a step back. Zhang Xuanli's hair fluttered as if a strong wind blew past. His white fat body instantly shrunk by half and became skinny. His eyes were like lightning as he turned into a shadow and shrouded Chu Li. Zhou Zhixiong was so fast that his figure could not be seen. Only a shadow could be seen as he shrouded Chu Li. Chu Li was like a wisp of smoke as he moved between the two. Prince Bao's face was gloomy as his eyes flashed coldly. He had never been as useless as he was today. He could not see that it was a trap. He was really getting old and useless. If it was when he was younger, how could he not see through it? If it was not for Chu Li, he would not have been able to escape these two palms. The distance was too close. When he felt that something was wrong, it was already too late to dodge. This Officer Zhang's body movement technique was too fast. Chapter 414. P.S. The Ninth Alliance leader is born. The drunken dream of the brothel. Chu Li dodged while observing the two's channeling routes. Their secret technique was extremely overbearing. Chu Li could vaguely see a ball of fire burning in their bodies, continuously burning away their vitality, and the fire was getting stronger. The two's body technique was getting faster, as if they were burning away the impurities in their bodies, making them lighter and more powerful, turning from a wild boar to a wild leopard. The two's body technique was so fast that it was as if they had turned into Chu Li's clothes. He could not shake them off no matter what. Prince Bao and Lu Yurong watched from the side, but had no intention of intervening. The two's body technique was so fast that they could not capture it with their naked eyes. If it was Chu Li, they would not be able to dodge more than a few moves. They slowly retreated to avoid becoming Chu Li's burden. If the two attacked him separately, Chu Li would not be able to dodge even if he wanted to, and could only face them head-on. Fortunately, the two seemed to have become stupid, and stubbornly clung to Chu Li, swearing not to stop until he was defeated. Prince Bao shook his head and sighed. The new generation really replaced the old. Back then, he lamented that the younger generation was not as good as the previous one, but now it seemed that there were still powerful young people. Chu Li could stand proudly with his light body technique alone. Lu Yurong frowned as she watched Chu Li entangled with the two. The martial arts of the E-Public House were very ordinary, far inferior to her own Empyrean fairy power. Could it be that Chu Li was really the so-called genius that appeared once in 100 years? Could he have cultivated the ordinary martial arts of the E-Public House to this level? She glanced around and faintly felt that something was not right. Her limpid eyes swept past the surrounding corpses one by one in the flower bed, in the gazebo, under the rockery, and the two in the lake. She did not know why, but there was a sense of unease lingering in her heart. Out of curiosity, she went to look at the corpses one by one. Seeing her like this, Prince Bao followed her. These people were indeed dead, their bodies were stiff, and there was no sign of life. Seeing this, he was furious. These two really deserved to die. In order to set up such a killing trap, they killed so many innocent people. These were the people of the great Ji dynasty. Lu Yurong looked at the flower bed, gazebo, and under the rockery, but she did not look at the two in the lake. She was meticulous, and serious in her work. Since she was going to inspect them, she naturally had to inspect them one by one and not miss a single one. "Your Highness, I'll go take a look," Lu Yurong said to Prince Bao. Prince Bao stared at Chu Li and nodded. Lu Yurong floated onto the small boat and used her inner energy to move the boat slowly towards the two corpses. When she got closer, she sized it up, and the feeling that something was wrong grew stronger. She lightly pushed out her palm, and the lake water exploded with a bang. The two corpses were flipped over face down. They were two middle-aged servants. Their faces were green, and it was obvious that they had been dead for a long time. Lu Yurong frowned as she looked at the two servants. She had a strong feeling that something was wrong. She had a feeling that they might be poisoned and should not be touched. Hence, it was better to look at them from afar and not get too close. At this time, a few koi fishes slowly approached the two corpses. They pecked at them a few times, then a few more times. They felt that it was fun, and they were enjoying themselves. Lu Yurong looked at the koi fishes, who were at ease and did not seem to be poisoned at all. She became more and more curious. wanting to find out where this extremely strong feeling of uneasiness came from. Thus, the small boat floated and slowly approached. Her body tensed up, ready to retreat at any time. Chu Li's voice was heard. "Miss Lu, those two are still alive. Be careful." Lu Yurong was shocked. Bang! With a muffled sound, the two corpses flew up and turned into two shadows that appeared in front of Lu Yurong. They were so fast that she could not react in time. She scoffed and pushed out both her palms. Bang, bang! With two muffled sounds, her palms hit both of them. Bang! Her left shoulder was hit as well. The two of them did not care about her palms. They only wanted to hit her. Lu Yurong only felt a scorching energy rushing into her shoulder, colliding with her extreme yin and extreme cold inner energy. Her inner energy was extremely pure, and it easily extinguished this energy. However, the two of them were too fast, and they attacked with all their might. She dodged the two attacks awkwardly, and was finally hit on her shoulder. Fortunately, she was suppressed by the Empyrean fairy power. The two of them became even crazier and turned into two shadows. Palm prints covered the sky and the ground. Bang, 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 bang. Lu Yurong felt like she was a small boat in a raging sea. The two's palm energy formed a raging wave that could swallow her at any time. Humph! Prince Bao scoffed and flew over to fight the two of them together. The two of them were so fast that they could not be seen clearly. They were like two shadows. Prince Bao and Lu Yurong could only see the shadows of their palms filling the sky. The only thing they could do was to defend themselves, waving their palms around to protect themselves. They did not want to do anything, but to not make any mistakes. Chu Li's voice was heard. "Your Royal Highness, Miss Lu, we can't let them continue. They will only get stronger." He had experienced it firsthand. Zhou Zhixiong and Zhang Xuanli's body movements were getting faster, the flames on their bodies were getting stronger, and their palm energy was getting fiercer. He did not dare to fight them head-on, and could only keep dodging. He was thinking if he wanted to deal with them, he could either be ruthless in the beginning and kill them even if both of them were injured, or wait until they were exhausted. The two of them had been fighting for so long, but they were still not exhausted. All right. Lu Yurong believed Chu Li's words. She was confident in her Empyrean fairy power. She was not afraid of their palm energy, so she ignored the palm energy in the sky and attacked one of them. Prince Bao could tell what she was thinking, so he ignored the other person and attacked one of them together with Lu Yurong. However, that person's body movement technique was too fast, their attacks always missed, and they were hit by the other person's palm. Lu Yurong frowned. This palm attack was more refined than before, and it took more effort to neutralize it. Chu Li was right. They were getting stronger. Prince Bao's face was extremely gloomy. He suddenly increased his speed and covered his opponent with palm shadows. He was determined. There was Chu Li, and there was Lu Yurong here. If he lost to these two young people, he would really have lived his life like a dog. Bam! Prince Bao's palm hit his opponent. The purple-faced, middle-aged man's body stopped, and Lu Yurong's palm energy followed. Bam! She landed a solid hit on him. The middle-aged man's body became slower. Bam, 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 bam. Prince Bao and Lu Yurong's palms hit him like a storm, ignoring the other middle-aged man's attack. "Be careful!" Chu Li shouted. Before his voice died away, he suddenly appeared in front of Prince Bao and Lu Yurong and pulled the two of them away. Bam! A muffled sound was heard, and the middle-aged man exploded. Chu Li's back was facing the middle-aged man, and he pulled Prince Bao and Lu Yurong to escape, but he did not manage to escape. His body suddenly sped up, and blood spurted out from his mouth. "Chu Li!" Lu Yurong shouted. "Don't worry, it's just a small injury." Chu Li scoffed. and his body sped up again. Like a wisp of smoke, he left the mountain villa. 3 shadows followed behind him. Prince Bao and Lu Yurong's sleeves were pulled by Chu Li, and they looked at the retreating trees helplessly. Their speed was far faster than theirs. Even if Chu Li ran so fast that they could not catch up, Zhou Zhixiong and the other 2 were still getting closer, and soon they would catch up. Chapter 4:15. P.S. The 10th Alliance is born. The alliance leader is the 7 bandit lords of Shui dynasty. Elegant. As the 3 of them approached, Chu Li scoffed again and increased his speed. Lu Yurong could tell that Chu Li was trying to lure them. She could tell what he was thinking with a single glance. He was afraid that Zhou Zhixiong and the others would turn to the enclosure, so he slowed down to lure them over. If Zhou Zhixiong and the others rushed in, many people would die. Prince Bao asked, "Chu Li, do you need some pills?" Chu Li replied, "No need, thank you, Your Royal Highness." Prince Bao was relieved when he saw that he still had the energy to speak. It was obvious that he did not use his full strength. Zhou Zhixiong looked calm and solemn like an old monk. Zhang Xuanli was the same. The 3 of them moved faster and faster. Chu Li sped up again when they were close. He was always ahead of them. Zhou Zhixiong shouted, Brother Zhou, I can't do it this time. I'm leaving first." "Brother Zhou, have a safe trip." Zhang Xuanli and the other middle-aged man closed fist saluted and said solemnly. Zhou Zhixiong put his hands together as he ran. He was as solemn and holy as a monk. His body lit up and turned into a white light that shot into the sky. A door of light appeared in the sky. The white light entered the door, and it disappeared. Chu Li's back was facing them, but he could see it clearly. The flames in Zhou Zhixiong's body reached its peak. It was as hot as the sun. His flesh burned and turned into a white light that shot into the sky. There was a faint fluctuation in the sky. It was a door. The white light that Zhou Zhixiong turned into went through the door and disappeared from this world. Chu Li was not shocked. The scene at the Titanium Temple made him understand that this world was different from his original world. There was a Grand Master. Prince Bao's expression was grim. He clearly saw Zhou Zhixiong turn into a rainbow, while Zhang Xuanli and the other middle-aged man were not sad. They were only happy. The followers of the Holy Church of Light did not pursue a short life, but eternal death. They wanted to enter the door of light and ascend to the ultimate paradise. The disciples of the Holy Church of Light, who were not afraid of death, were all lunatics. It was impossible to guard against them. It was terrifying. "Brother Zhou, I'm leaving too," Zhang Xuanli said. He looked at Chu Li and the others and shook his head. "They can't escape. The Holy Church will destroy them." The middle-aged man nodded and said in a deep voice, "Then let's go together." As soon as the 2 of them finished talking, they dashed towards Chu Li. Their speed increased by a notch, and they moved like lightning. Chu Li easily dodged the attack. The 2 of them turned into 2 rays of white light and shot into the sky. The door of light appeared again, and the 2 rays of white light entered the door of light before it disappeared. Chu Li stopped. Beside him was a peach forest. Wah! Holding onto a peach tree, he spat out another mouthful of blood and let out a long sigh of relief. The 3 of them all had solemn expressions on their faces. They didn't seem happy at all that they had escaped. "Your Royal Highness." Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Was the Holy Church of Light always like this? "I don't think so." Prince Bao shook his head. If the Holy Church of Light was this powerful in the past, they would have invaded the Ji dynasty a long time ago instead of hiding in the Li dynasty. Lu Yurong furrowed her brows and said, "Their last secret skill was too strong. We were the ones who encountered them this time. so we were able to escape. If it was any other grandmaster, I'm afraid it would be very difficult for them to escape. Once they activated their secret skill, their speed was unbelievably fast. This time, they had Chu Li. His light body technique was powerful, or else she and Prince Bao might not have been able to escape unscathed. If Prince Bao and Lu Yurong's cultivation level were already so high, if it was a grandmaster with a slightly lower cultivation level, it would definitely not end well for them. Prince Bao scoffed. There's no need to worry too much. They're all grandmasters. The Holy Church of Light's grandmasters don't just come out of nowhere. They can have as many as they want. Chu Li said, Your Royal Highness, this is what I'm worried about. Prince Bao looked at him. Chu Li said, Zhou Zhixiong was originally just a field officer. How could he have cultivated to the level of grandmaster? What's worse is that he's obviously from the Ji dynasty, but he's loyal to the Holy Church of Light. Prince Bao's face darkened as he pondered. Lu Yurong furrowed her brows and said, You're saying that the Holy Church of Light has a way to quickly become a grandmaster and then use this as bait to lure the Ji dynasty's masters to join the Holy Church of Light and rebel against the Ji dynasty? Chu Li said, There's no need to rush them. Just taking them in as disciples is tempting enough. The Holy Church of Light is a supreme faction, just like our Tempest Temple. Which young man would be able to reject the Tempest Temple's call? Who knows how many grandmasters the Tempest Temple has? What's more terrifying is that these disciples are not afraid of death. Instead, they pursue a heroic death to enter the ultimate land of bliss. Prince Bao said in a low voice, If they want to step into the ultimate land of bliss, it's not enough to just use the secret technique. They might need a strong opponent to stimulate their fighting spirit. That's why they'll risk their lives to assassinate masters who are stronger than them. Chu Li said in a low voice. Chu Li saw some clues through the omniscient mirror. He felt that the Holy Church of Light was more and more terrifying. Is there no way to deal with them? If they're that powerful, they would have long dominated the world. Lu Yurong scoffed. Everything in the world counters each other. There's always a way to restrain them. Your Royal Highness? Chu Li said. I'll go back to the Imperial House's secret vault. There should be a way. Or else, the world would have long belonged to the Holy Church of Light. Prince Bao said. Chu Li nodded. We should go back. It's probably over there too. They're waiting for your Royal Highness. Lu Yurong said. Chu Li, how's your injury? Prince Bao asked. Chu Li smiled. It's just a small injury. Nothing to worry about. You don't look like a small injury to me. Lu Yurong scoffed. Prince Bao smiled. Don't force yourself. We'll bring you back. Thank you for your kindness, your Royal Highness. Chu Li nodded. Prince Bao smiled and looked at Lu Yurong. Lu Yurong was stunned. She pointed at herself. Your Royal Highness, it can't be me, right? Prince Bao laughed. Do you really want me to bring Chu Li along? All right. Lu Yurong looked at Prince Bao, then at Chu Li. She scoffed. Consider it my repayment for saving my life. If it was not for Chu Li's timely reminder and appearance, she would have been the one who was heavily injured. Chu Li smiled. Thank you, Miss Lu. Chu Li, you're being too courteous. What, Miss Lu? Just call me Yurong. Isn't that right? Prince Bao laughed. We've been through thick and thin together. There's no need to be so courteous. Chu Li shook his head and laughed. I don't dare. Lu Yurong's face tightened. She scoffed. Prince Bao saw her determined expression and laughed. All right then, I'll leave first. There's something I need to deal with over there. You guys don't have to rush. He did not wait for Lu Yurong to reply. He shot out like an arrow. Chu Li laughed. If the Yi Public House and the Ren Public House joined forces, it would not be a blessing for the imperial court. He knew this. Lu Yurong also knew this, so the relationship between the two would not be too close. Moreover, the public house and the Huai public house were connected by marriage. If they were to be close to the Run public house, the imperial court would not be able to sit still. Chapter 416. P.S. The next chapter might be late. I'm writing slower and slower. Please forgive me. Lu Yurong went into the forest and came back with a long stick. It was as tall as a person and as thick as a baby's arm. She passed one end to Chu Li. Let's go. Just like that. Chu Li laughed, but did not extend his hand. Lu Yurong glanced at him and said coldly, How do you want to go? Chu Li said, Just through my sleeve. Why do you have to be so cautious? I'm not a pervert. No, Lu Yurong scoffed. Chu Li said helplessly, I'll go by myself. My injuries aren't that serious. All right, up to you. Lu Yurong said, I'll go first. She tossed the stick and glided away. Chu Li suddenly coughed as if his injuries were acting up. Lu Yurong stopped and turned to glare at him. Chu Li, are you leaving or not? Chu Li shrugged. You go first. You walk in front. Lu Yurong scoffed. She was also worried that if someone ambushed him and he was injured, it would be her fault if anything happened. Chu Li smiled. You might not be able to catch up to me. Then I'll try. Lu Yurong sneered. Chu Li glided onto the treetops as if he was riding the wind. He glided forward without a trace of dust. It looked slow, but his speed was surprisingly fast. Lu Yurong followed closely behind. Chu Li raised his voice. That Crown Prince Feng is thinking of how to deal with me. Who told you to offend him? Lu Yurong said. Chu Li shook his head. It's all your fault. He thinks we have an ambiguous relationship, and that's why he wants to deal with me. If not, he wouldn't even care about me. Lu Yurong scoffed. You hit Lung Tao first. Lung Feng thinks you're arrogant. Arrogant people hate it when others are arrogant. You two are destined to be enemies. Don't drag me into this. I'm arrogant? Chu Li shook his head and laughed. Lu Yurong said coldly, Don't underestimate Lung Feng. His mentality is not mature enough, but his power is not weak. A child holding a knife can kill if it's sharp enough. Chu Li said, King Jing's influence is strong, right? What do you think? Lu Yurong said calmly, Don't even think about getting any information out of me. I don't think it's wise for you to support King Jing. Chu Li said, Any disciple of the imperial family will be afraid of the house of High Dukes. Even if he is your uncle, he will not truly treat the house of High Dukes as one of his own. Lu Yurong snorted. Chu Li chuckled. You're so smart. How could you not know? Looks like you're using King Jing. We're just using each other. Lu Yurong said lightly, Just like us. Aren't we using each other? Chu Li said, It's better if it's a purely beneficial relationship. It won't take too much effort to understand. Lu Yurong glanced at him. You already have someone you like, Xiao sure? Chu Li laughed. You're really imaginative. Xiao sure is the most beautiful woman in the great Ji dynasty. You're a man. How can you not be tempted by her? Lu Yurong scoffed. Anyone can see that. Chu Li shook his head. It's really a misunderstanding. If it's not Xiao sure, Xiao Qi? Lu Yurong was surprised and looked him up and down. Is it really Xiao Qi? Chu Li said, You're really not going to marry for the rest of your life. Yes. Lu Yurong glanced at him and answered lightly. Chu Li shook his head. The Empyrean fairy power is really harmful. Lu Yurong glanced at him. What martial arts do you cultivate? The Infinite Azure Sea, Chu Li said. The two of them schemed and tested each other, but they realized that the other party understood them very well, far better than the average person. The two of them were extremely smart people, so it was easy and troublesome to talk. They fought with their wits and schemes, and their minds surged. When the two of them fluttered back to the enclosure, the cavalries, there were still no results. They were either entangled or ambushed. The 5 groups of cavalries displayed their agility and cunning to the fullest. Lung Ing was a little bored. She was not interested in these fights and killings. She looked around absent-mindedly. Suddenly, her eyes lit up and she stood up. Consort Lu was shocked by her. "What's wrong, Ing Air?" Lung Ing stared at Chu Li and Lu Yurong. Her bright eyes widened as she stared at them carefully. "They're finally back." Consort Lu sighed in relief. Ever since Lu Yurong left, she had been worried. Lung Ing went forward and stood in front of Chu Li. She glanced at him and ignored him. She turned to Lu Yurong. "Cousin sister, why are you with him again?" Lu Yurong said, "The Royal Highness is back." "He just came back." Lung Ing glanced at Chu Li, who fluttered away, and returned to Xiao Shi's side. She scoffed. "Cousin sister, why are you with him again?" "I have important matters to attend to," Lu Yurong said. "Don't mess around. Let's go." Consort Lu looked at her with concern as she walked over. Lu Yurong said in a low voice, "Aunt, when young Feng comes back, tell him to tell his scoundrel friends to behave themselves. Don't provoke Chu Li." Consort Lu looked at her in surprise. Lu Yurong said, "Chu Li is injured now. If young Feng and his friends really provoke Xiao Shi, he will kill them." She could see through Lung Feng and his friends' playboy tactics. They were like children playing house. But if the knife in a child's hand was sharp enough, it could also kill people and cause big trouble. Chu Li was injured. If they provoked Xiao Shi at this time and forced him to fight, he would definitely kill to establish his authority. If that happened, things would get out of hand. Consort Lu smiled. "Since when did you care so much about Head Chief Chu?" "Not caring about him." Lu Yurong shook her head. "We will meet him soon. Don't make things too awkward." Consort Lu was even more curious. Lu Yurong said that Traitor Field Officer Zhou is a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. Holy Church of Light. Consort Lu thought for a while. "I think it's a sect from the Li dynasty. The Holy Church of Light is very scary." Lu Yurong's expression was solemn. "It's impossible to guard against them." Consort Lu was deep in thought. "Head Chief Chu can see that." "You mean our imperial residence?" She glanced around and stopped talking. "It's very possible," Lu Yurong said. "So we need him to help us look. This is a big matter." Consort Lu frowned. "Your uncle might not agree. I will convince him." Lu Yurong said lightly, "They can hide from the secret guardians of the imperial house. Who will uncle find to investigate?" Consort Lu nodded lightly. She was deep in thought. Lung Ing listened quietly at the side. Her eyes were wide open, but she did not interrupt. After a while, Consort Lu sighed softly. She shook her head. "Sigh, young Feng is still too far away." Even after going to the border to train for a year, she saw that Lung Feng did not improve much. Compared to Lu Yurong, it was like comparing an adult to a child. Lu Yurong's talent was exceptional. She could not compare to her. There was still Chu Li. "You guys spoil him too much." "How can a flower from the garden do?" Lu Yurong said lightly. "Aren't you from the garden too?" Consort Lu smiled. Lu Yurong smiled. That was true. She was born smarter than others. She did not need to train. Chapter 417. After Chu Li returned to the gazebo, Lung Qiu and Lung Qing looked at him. Song Luiying and Xuan Ningyu were hesitant to speak, but in the end, they held back and did not ask further. Xiao Shi glanced at him. It seemed like he had been staying here all along, and did not leave. Chu Li's injuries were almost healed, and it could not be seen from his appearance. "My lady, we should head back now," Chu Li said. "Are you leaving now?" Xiao sure looked at him. Her eyes were like autumn waters. Chu Li said, "There's nothing else to see after this. You must be tired." "All right." Xiao sure nodded lightly and turned to look at Song Luiying and Xuaning Yu. "You guys go first. We'll stay behind to avoid being rude." "Thank you, sisters," Xiao sure said. Chu Li closed fist saluted. "Consort Song, Consort Xue, please follow Consort Lu back to the town to avoid any accidents." Song Luiying smiled. "Head chief is worried about Lung Tao and the rest." These hedonistic sons of rich parents could do anything when their blood rushed to their heads. Chu Li nodded. Song Luiying smiled. "Indeed, we have to be on guard. All right, we will follow Princess Lu back to the city." Chu Li, Xiao Shi, Yang Su, and Xueling returned to the town together. Lu Yurong saw it from afar. She thought for a while and pulled Lung Ying up. "Let's go back with them. It's not over yet." Lung Ying struggled and shouted, "I still want to see if Big Brother has won." Lu Yurong ignored her struggle. "He can't win. Let's go." Princess Lu pursed her lips into a smile and waved her hand. "Go back with your cousin." "Mother!" Lung Ying was unwillingly helped onto the horse by Lu Yurong, and the two of them galloped away. "Why on earth?" Lung Ying pouted and snorted unwillingly. "Cousin, why must you be with him?" She said indignantly, "What's so great about him?" As they spoke, they had already caught up to Chu Li. Chu Li glanced at Lu Yurong and smiled. "Don't worry, I won't kill anyone." Lu Yurong said coldly, "You go your way, I'll go mine." Chu Li smiled. "What a coincidence." Lung Ying gave him a sidelong glance and snorted. Lu Yurong said, "Chu Li, the princess invites you to the imperial residence tomorrow." "Oh." Chu Li smiled. "It was your idea, right?" No matter how magnanimous Consort Lu was, she would never invite him, who had a conflict with her son. It was obvious that Lu Yurong wanted his help to find the disciples of the Holy Church of Light in the imperial residence of King Jing. Yurong said, "If you accept, the invitation will come." "Forget it." Chu Li shook his head. "The imperial residence of King Jing is too prestigious. I can't get close to them." Yurong's shun. The four horses rode side by side. Xiao Shi was in the innermost position with Chu Li guarding her. Lu Yurong and Lung Ying were on the other side of Chu Li. "Tell me, what are your conditions?" Lu Yurong scoffed. "Just a small favor." Chu Li smiled. Lu Yurong said coldly, "You say it's a small matter, but it's usually a big matter. Speak clearly." Chu Li said, "Isn't Master Xiao Taiying's wedding next month?" "Humph, just like last time?" Lu Yurong frowned. "I'm already doing you a favor by not looking for trouble with the public house." Chu Li shook his head with a smile and looked at her confidently. Lung Ying didn't know what to think. She looked at the two. However, she was completely relieved. Looking at the way the two of them were talking, it didn't seem like they were in love. Instead, it seemed like they were fighting a battle of wits and courage. Lu Yurong frowned for a while and scoffed. "How many?" "Like last time." Chu Li smiled. "Any more and it'll be too much for you." Lu Yurong took a deep breath. Her chest rose and fell. "All right, I'll do it." Chu Li said, "Let's make this clear. I'll only look for the Holy Church of Light." He guessed there were many spies in the imperial residence of King Jing. He arranged for Zhuo Feiyan. Zhuo Feiyan was doing well. Although he didn't become King Jing's confidant, he was stable. It was the first step. Lu Yurong said, "Other than the Holy Church of Light, I'll send you one more person for everyone you find. No matter which imperial residence." "Yes," Lu Yurong said, "no matter which force, One more person means one more person for me. All right. Chu Li smiled. This has to be kept a secret. If not, I'll become the world's enemy. I won't be able to do anything. Of course. Lu Yurong glanced at Xiao Shi and Lung Ying. Don't tell anyone about what happened today. All right. Lung Ying nodded. Xiao Shi looked ahead. She didn't even look at them. Lu Yurong didn't seem to exist. Lang Feng went back to Princess Lu. Although he was protected by armor, the feeling of an unsharpened blade cutting his body was unbearable. Even after taking the pills from the imperial residence, the pain did not subside. He went back to the gazebo and looked around. Princess Lu said, "Stop looking. Lu Yurong and your sister have returned to the town." "Why did they leave so early?" Lang Feng asked dejectedly. "It's because they're afraid of your gang of scoundrels." Consort Lu said snappily, "Feng Er, you gathered a group of people to cause trouble for Chu Li, didn't you?" "Mother," Lang Feng said helplessly, "it's just a little joke. It's nothing." "Humph, a joke." Princess Lu scoffed. "You know about the traitor?" "Yes." Lang Feng said, "I didn't think there would be a traitor. The people from the imperial court are getting more and more useless." "This Zhou Zhixiong is a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. He's a Grand Master," Princess Lu said. "If he wasn't discovered, killing you would be a piece of cake." Lang Feng frowned. "The Holy Church of Light? You know about it too?" "Of course, I know about the #1 sect in the Li dynasty." Lang Feng's face turned serious. "I heard they're even stronger than the Tempest Temple." "I didn't think Zhou Zhixiong is a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. This time, he might be here to kill you imperial princes." Princess Lu said, "Chu Li saved your lives." Lang Feng nodded slowly, although he didn't want to admit it. If Zhou Zhixiong was really from the Holy Church of Light, it would be troublesome. He might really kill him. Among the imperial princes, he was the most important. He would become the primary target. He might not be able to escape. "I'm telling you, don't look for trouble with him in the future," Princess Lu said. "I know, Mother," Lang Feng said helplessly. "If you don't listen to me, I'll send you to the frontier for another year." Princess Lu glared at him. She knew her son's temperament very well. She knew that he was probably doing it half-heartedly. "Yes, yes," Lang Feng quickly said. "Lung Tao got slapped by Chu Li in front of Imperial Granduncle. Didn't Imperial Granduncle say anything?" "Lung Tao deserved it. Your Imperial Granduncle is being generous by not punishing him." Princess Lu said, "Tomorrow I'll invite Chu Li over as a guest." "What?" Lang Feng raised his voice. Princess Lu glared at him. Lang Feng quickly said, "Mother, why did you invite him as a guest? Think about it yourself. Do we have to apologize? Why?" Lang Feng said loudly. Princess Lu was disappointed. "You're not very smart. If you were as smart as Yurong, I would be relieved." Princess Lu shook her head and sighed. Lang Feng scoffed. "Mother, you're underestimating me. You only know how to act on impulse all day." Princess Lu said, "A man should be broad-minded. What about you? Go and do what you have to do. Tell your group of scoundrels to behave themselves. Don't provoke Chu Li." Yes, Lang Feng left unhappily. However, he had no intention of letting them stop. The more Princess Lu said, the angrier he was towards Chu Li. He wanted to teach him a lesson. Chapter 418. Chu Li said lazily, "Miss Lu, they're here." Lu Yurong frowned. "Why don't they leave with the rest? Maybe they'll leave by themselves and avoid this trouble." With her pressure and her aunt's words, no matter how unwilling Lang Feng was, he would still pull his men back and avoid this conflict. However, with Lang Feng's arrogant personality, There would be a next time even if he failed this time. Chu Li probably knew this, so he wanted to settle this as soon as possible to avoid trouble in the future. Chu Li smiled. Lu Yurong said, I'll do it later. You can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. Chu Li looked at the forest in the distance calmly. If we can't get rid of them this time, there will be a next time. Lu Yurong frowned. She felt the coldness in Chu Li's words. Bang! Bang! Two muffled sounds were heard. Two giant rocks fell from the sky and landed on the road. The ground shook. The elite soldiers on this road were all fighting in the enclosure because of the hunting ceremony. There was no one on both sides of the road. The two giant rocks were as tall as a person, square in shape, blocking the road on both sides. As for the horses that Chu Li and the others were riding on, they could leap over it in one leap. Bang! Bang! Another two giant rocks flew out from the forest and landed on the road. The two giant rocks landed in front of the previous two. With that, even horses could not leap over them, blocking the road completely. Chu Li pulled the reins, and the horses stopped. Xiao Shi, Yang Su, and Xueling stopped too. Chu Li turned to Lu Yurong. Please help me look after the lady. I'll deal with them, Lu Yurong quickly said. She had a bad feeling that Chu Li would be ruthless this time. Chu Li placed his hand on the hilt of his sword. I'll do it myself. If they really hurt the lady, I don't care if you're an imperial prince or not. All right. Lu Yurong frowned and nodded. She always thought that Chu Li liked Xiao Shi. So if Xiao Shi was hurt, Chu Li would definitely go crazy and kill her. Chu Li slowly got off the horse and turned to Xiao Shi. Lady, please wait. Xiao Shi looked at him calmly. Be careful. Understood. Chu Li nodded. 14 masked men in black dashed out from the forest and dashed towards Xiao Shi with their qing gong. Chu Li scoffed softly. As soon as the water ball fell into his precordium, an endless amount of energy surged into him. He suddenly flashed and appeared behind a masked man. A misty sword light flashed, and the sword instantly pierced through the masked man's chest. In the next moment, his figure flashed once more and appeared behind another person, and then a dark and hazy sword light flashed once more as it pierced through another person's chest. In the past few days, he had mastered the 7 forms of godly sword and had completely unleashed the power of the 7 forms of godly knife. With the help of the heavenly demonic power, the speed of his sword became faster and stronger. Before the 2 grandmasters could react, they had already been struck. His figure flickered incessantly, and with every flicker, he would appear behind a masked man in black. Every time he swung his sword, none of them would be able to escape. In front of Chu Li, they were like children who had never learned any martial arts. They were completely defenseless. Lu Yurong felt a chill run down her spine. With his current martial arts, the 3 masters from the Holy Church of Light should have died long ago. They did not have the time to use their secret skills and finally stepped into the ultimate land of bliss. He purposely hid his martial arts to see the actual situation of the Holy Church of Light's disciples. This scheming was really deep. He would rather be injured than show his true abilities. Out of the 14 grandmasters, 7 had already fallen before they could reach Xiao Shi. In their anger, they could no longer care about rushing towards Xiao Shi. There was no point in dealing with Xiao Shi now. Chu Li did not escape at all. He wanted to kill them. The most important thing now was to stay alive. The 7 of them quickly huddled together with their backs against each other, guarding against Chu Li's sudden appearance. Chu Li sneered. His figure flashed and appeared in front of a masked man in black. He stabbed with his sword. 3 masked men in black attacked at the same time. The misty sword light flashed once, and Chu Li floated backward. A masked man in black clutched his chest as he fell down. The sword had already pierced through his chest. This time, Chu Li did not attack from behind. He faced them directly. He had the support of the heavenly demonic power. His speed was extremely fast. While their palm energy was still in midair, his sword had already pierced through. He then safely retreated and rushed towards another person. In the blink of an eye, another 3 people fell. Retreat! The remaining 4 saw that the situation was not good. They shouted and escaped in 4 directions. Their bodies expanded rapidly. They had already activated their secret skills and floated far away like smoke. Chu Li chased after them one by one and pierced through their chests. Lu Yurong stared at Chu Li's sword with a solemn expression. She was pondering whether she could avoid this sword technique if she were to face it. She could avoid the vital parts, but it was impossible to completely avoid it. His sword was too fast, and his body technique was too fast. Her heart was alerted, and the sword was already there. It was even faster than her warning. Fortunately, Chu Li's sword only pierced the right side of their chests. As the protectors of the imperial residence, they did not lack spirit pills and medicine. Grandmasters were full of vitality. After taking the spirit pills and resting for a while, they would be fine. However, they had lost the ability to fight for a short period of time. Chu Li glanced at the masked men in black on the ground. He shook his head and floated back to Xiao. "My lady, let's go." Xiao pursed her lips and smiled. "Your heart is too soft." "Yes." Chu Li smiled and shook his head. Xiao glanced at the men in black on the ground. Her expression was calm. She had seen many deaths. She did not care about these people's lives. Chu Li could kill them all, and she would not say a word. Lu Yurong looked at these men in black. They were the elites of the imperial residence. Yet, they ended up like this. "Xueling," Chu Li said. Xueling answered and came to the front of 4 giant rocks. She placed both her hands on one and gently lifted. The giant rock that was taller than her was lifted without any effort. Her divine energy came from the sun-cultivating white tiger portrait. Chu Li said, "Let's go over and then move it back." "Yes." Xueling pursed her lips and smiled. After Chu Li and the others rode their horses and passed the giant rocks, Xueling moved the giant rocks back to their original position. Then she leaped onto her horse, and everyone returned to the city. Lung Feng and the others ended the hunting ceremony and hurried back. They wanted to be ahead of Princess Lu and the other ladies. Lung Feng could not wait to see Chu Li's pitiful appearance. He wanted to vent his anger. Lung Tao followed behind him excitedly. The princes were excited too. Chu Li was in the limelight again during the hunting ceremony. This made them even more displeased. They wanted nothing more than for Chu Li to be beaten black and blue by their own protectors. That would be the most satisfying thing they could think of. When they stopped in front of the 4 giant rocks, they saw a group of masked men in black sitting cross-legged and channeling. These masked men in black immediately sat cross-legged and channeled after consuming the spirit medicine. They did not care about hiding in the forest. The sword energy in their bodies was endless and sharp. Their injuries were getting worse every second. They could not afford to waste any time. "What's going on?" Lung Tao shouted. The 14 men in black did not move. They could not answer them. Lung Feng's handsome face darkened. Chapter 419. Who did it? Lung Feng asked. Chu Li. One of the masked men in black opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, staining his black cloth. He took off his black cloth and revealed his thin face. It was as pale as paper, without a trace of blood. "Uncle Yi, did Chu Li do it alone?" One of the princes asked loudly. Elixing nodded slowly. "It's him." As he spoke, he closed his eyes and continued to channel to suppress the raging sword force. The sword force was like a real substance, like a small sword piercing through his body, continuously injuring his organs. The speed at which he channeled his energy to heal was far slower than the speed of the small sword's damage. His injuries became more and more serious. He took out the jade porcelain from his bosom, poured out 2 spirit pills, and threw them into his mouth. The crown prince's face darkened. "Chu Li, how dare you?" Lung Tao said, "That's impossible. He single-handedly took care of 14 masters." "Is there anyone else?" Lung Feng asked. The 14 men in black were focused on healing themselves. No one answered. Lung Feng was embarrassed and angry. Chu Li, he really has guts. But even 14 people couldn't defeat him. It's really... He shook his head as he spoke. The 14 men in black were secretly angry, but they did not have the face to say anything. They could only hold their anger and keep quiet. 14 grandmasters surrounded Chu Li, but not only did they not defeat him, but they were also injured by him. It was really embarrassing. If not, they would have rebutted Lung Feng. Lung Feng stood on the spot, frowning. He could not imagine why 14 grandmasters could not defeat Chu Li, but were injured by him. This time, Chu Li was going to be famous in the fairies' capital, or even the world. No one is allowed to tell anyone about this. Lung Feng slowly glanced at the princes, then looked at the 14 grandmasters. Or else, it'll be embarrassing for everyone. The princes nodded. "Yes, we can't tell anyone." Lung Tao said loudly. "We can't help Chu Li become famous." Lung Feng glared at him. Lung Tao shut his mouth in embarrassment. Now, he hated Chu Li to the core, but at the same time, he feared him to the core. Chu Li often beat people up, so he only dared to be ruthless behind Chu Li's back, but he did not dare to confront Chu Li face to face. Lung Feng took a deep breath and turned to look at the crowd. "Can you guys keep this a secret?" "Of course." Everyone answered at the same time. "If anyone dares to leak this information, don't blame us for being impolite." Lung Feng snorted. Everyone hurriedly patted their chests and swore that they would not leak anything and would pretend that nothing had happened. The next morning, Chu Li was reading in the Tianshu courtyard when he received a report from the outside that the chief of the imperial residence of King Jing had come to visit him and wanted to guide Chu Li. A handsome middle-aged man was sitting in the hall, accompanied by Chief Zhu, drinking tea and chatting. "Chief Steward Zhu, your mansion's head steward is very famous now." The handsome man put down his teacup and chuckled. "It's really admirable. Your imperial residence of king and has such a talent. It's a sign of prosperity." "Not at all. Manager Zhang is too courteous." Chief Zhu chuckled. "I wonder why Princess Lu wants to invite you over?" "From what I know, the head chief doesn't seem to have anything to do with your imperial residence." "About this, we as subordinates don't know." The imperial residence of King Jing's outer residence chief Zhang Xiai chuckled and waved his hand. "Maybe Princess Lu thinks that the head chief is a young talent, so she wants to meet him." "I see." Chief Zhu laughed. "The head chief is indeed a rare talent. Maybe Princess Lu has taken a fancy to his talent and wants to take him as her son-in-law." "Ha ha, this is not a joke." Zhang Xiai quickly waved his hand. "How can we, as subordinates, talk about Lady Lu's marriage? In my opinion, our head chief's talent is also worthy of Lady Ying." Chief Zhu laughed. Zhang Xiai shook his head. "If Princess Lu hears what Chief Zhu said, I'm afraid she will be angered. Be careful with your words. Be careful with your words." He cursed in his heart. What a big tone. "How dare you say something like that to be worthy of our Lady Ying?" Chu Li slowly walked into the hall. Chief Zhu quickly wiped his smile off his face and stood up. "Head chief." Chu Li nodded and closed fist saluted Zhang Ci. Thank you for waiting, Chief Zhang. Let's move. Yes, head chief. Zhang Ci wiped his smile off his face and closed fist saluted. Chief Zhu quickly asked, Head chief, do you need a maid? No need. I'll be back soon, Chu Li said. Yes. Chief Zhu quickly nodded. Chu Li's prestige in the imperial residence was growing by the day. As the outer residence chief, he did not dare to slack off at all in case Chu Li had something on him. Chu Li followed Zhang Ci out of the imperial residence of King, and they rode on a horse for more than 3 miles and arrived at a majestic imperial residence. It had yellow tiles and a red roof. It was magnificent and grand. The imperial residence of King Jing did not look any different from the imperial residence of King, and the exterior was almost the same, but the aura emitted from the entire imperial residence was completely different. It was more vigorous and heavy than the imperial residence of King, and the small door beside the imperial residence opened. Lung Feng slowly walked out with a group of people. They walked about 20 steps and approached Chu Li. Lung Feng closed fist saluted and said faintly, Head Chief Chu, please. Chu Li closed fist saluted. Crown Prince Feng, please. Lung Feng waved his hand. The people behind him took more than 10 steps back. The two of them walked at the front and headed towards the side door. Chu Li frowned, but did not say anything. According to the rules, based on his rank, the imperial residence should have opened the main door and not this side door. Lung Feng was obviously doing this on purpose to suppress his arrogance. Chu Li felt that it was childish. He was too lazy to argue with him. There would come a time when Lung Feng would need his help. Are the protectors of your imperial residence doing well? Chu Li asked casually. Lung Feng frowned and said coldly, Thank you for your concern. They are doing well. Chu Li smiled. If they really can't take it anymore, they can look for me. Lung Feng squinted his eyes and stared at him. Chu Li calmly looked at him. The scribes and protectors behind him softened their footsteps and even their breathing. They were on tenterhooks. Ha! Lung Feng scoffed. Just you wait. Chu Li smiled. He was confident in his sword energy. They would not be able to expel the sword energy with their abilities. It would only become more painful and their injuries would worsen. Sooner or later, they would not be able to take it anymore and look for him to save them. Lung Feng, Lu Yurong, and Lung Ying came out to welcome them. She was dressed in a bluish-white gown while Lung Ying was dressed in a light pink gown. When she saw Chu Li and Lung Ying coming in from the side door, her face darkened. Lung Feng frowned. Cousin sister, why did you come out? Lu Yurong glanced at him in disgust. You go back first. Leave Chu Li to me. Leave him to you? Lung Feng scoffed. Cousin sister, you are a girl. It's not appropriate. Let me take care of him. I'll have to inform my aunt. Lu Yurong frowned and said coldly, You don't know what's important. You're asking for death. Cousin. Lung Feng flew into a rage out of humiliation and said in a deep voice, There are outsiders here. Lu Yurong turned to Chu Li and closed fist saluted. Head Chief Chu, please. Chu Li smiled. I've finally seen the style of the imperial residence of King Jing. You are indeed unreachable. Chapter 420. P.S. The 11th Alliance has been born. Alliance leader, baby, protect me. Cousin who's being immature. Lung Feng was furious. Cousin, I'm not a kid anymore. Lu Yurong ignored him and said to Chu Li, Why don't we go in again? Chu Li laughed. Which door is not? Lu Yurong glared at Lung Feng. The princess is in the backyard. Let's go see her. Chu Li nodded. The Royal Highness is not in the residence. Lu Yurong shook her head. The Royal Highness is from the Ministry of War. Chu Li understood immediately. The Holy Church of Light's matter must have messed up the Ministry of War. If a traitor got in, the Ministry of War would be in trouble. Lu Yurong and Lung Ying brought him inside, ignoring Lung Feng. Lung Feng's handsome face was dark. He was angry, but he did not want to leave just like that. He saw that Lu Yurong was treating Chu Li differently. He was jealous and angry. He wanted to know what they were talking about, but he did not want to see them being so close. He struggled and tormented between wanting to know and not wanting to know. This pain completely turned into hatred towards Chu Li. He wanted to kill him now and then. Along the way, a few maids and scribes passed by, curtsying or fist saluting. Lu Yurong acted like she was in her own home. She only nodded slightly, passed through 4 courtyards, and arrived at the backyard. The backyard was spacious with 6 flower beds, one of which had a martial arts field and a small lake with a waterside pavilion. Consort Lu was surrounded by a few maids, sitting in a pavilion and admiring the koi in the lake. "Aunt, Chu Li is here." Lu Yurong and the other 2 came to the pavilion. Chu Li fist saluted. "Greetings, Consort." Consort Lu was dressed in gorgeous clothes and makeup. She was beautiful and elegant. She raised her hand and smiled. "Head Chief Chu, you don't have to be so courteous. Thank you." Chu Li said, "You're too kind, Consort." "It's nothing." Consort Lu smiled. "The kitchen maids in my residence make good pastries. Sit down and try some." "Yes, thank you, Consort." Chu Li did not bother with pleasantries and sat down. Lu Yurong sat next to him. Her faint fragrance wafted into his nose. Lung Ying sat on the other side and looked at him curiously and indignantly, wanting to hear what he was going to do. His cousin sister would rather scold her eldest brother and accompany Chu Li. It was obvious that she had high hopes for him, but he did not know if he would be able to live up to her expectations. "Where is Head Chief Chu from?" Consort Lu chatted with Chu Li as if she was an ordinary married woman, friendly and easygoing. Chu Li chatted casually with her. The 2 of them talked about local customs and Wuling affairs, which Lung Ying listened with great interest. At noon, Princess Lu set up a banquet in the main hall of the front residence. Chu Li was alone, but the banquet in the imperial residence was extremely grand. There was only one consort in the imperial residence of King Jing, so Consort Lu was free to do whatever she wanted. Almost all the guards and maids in the mansion were mobilized. Delicacies were served one after another like flowing water. In the end, before a dish could be tasted, it was already taken away, and another dish was served. Chu Li ate heartily. His stomach was like a bottomless pit. After he cultivated the heavenly demonic power, his appetite was different from ordinary people. Once he let loose, he could eat as much as 10 people. The food piled up together was enough to fill up his stomach 3 or 4 times, but he could eat it all. Lung Ying's eyes widened as she watched. Consort Lu ate very little. She only took a few mouthfuls of food and left first, letting Lu Yurong, Lung Ying, and Lung Feng accompany Chu Li to continue eating. "Your appetite is really shocking." Lu Yurong sat opposite Chu Li and shook her head. "You can eat so much." "Useless." Lung Feng scoffed. Chu Li smiled. "I cultivated the torso tuning technique, so my physical strength is exceptionally strong, and my appetite is also huge." "You cultivated the torso tuning technique." Lu Yurong frowned. "Which one?" "The art of white tiger." Chu Li ate another piece of beef. Lu Yurong thought for a while. "The art of white tiger. I've heard of it. It's said to be an extremely superior torso tuning technique, but superior is still a torso tuning technique. How did you reach the innate mastery's boundary?" "I cultivated it after the innate mastery's boundary." Chu Li said, Lu Yurong nodded slowly. No wonder. Your cultivation level is like this because you cultivated the art of white tiger. Chu Li said, there must be some relationship. Lu Yurong gave him a sidelong glance. Although the art of white tiger was amazing, not everyone could cultivate it. More importantly, there were very few people who walked this path now. The seniors had already proven that this path was not possible, but Chu Li still dared to do it. It could be said that he was extremely daring. It seemed that he had cultivated the art of white tiger. That was why he had such speed. The same light body technique. He performed it faster. So his sword was faster. His strength was stronger. So naturally his sword was faster. She was thinking, should she try to find a torso tuning technique to cultivate? Then she shook her head and laughed. Her Empyrean fairy power already had the wonders of the torso tuning. There was no need to cultivate anything else. The art of white tiger. Lung Feng scoffed. What martial art is that? I've never heard of it. It's just a low-class martial art, right? Chu Li smiled. Lu Yurong did not respond to his words, which made Lung Feng even angrier. All the more he could not leave. Lung Ying could not bear to watch. Her brother was being left out too much. Cousin sister, what martial art is the art of white tiger? It is one of the best torso tuning techniques. The antique study of the White Tiger Cave hundreds of years ago. White Tiger Cave. If that's the case, then there's no point. Forget it. You should look it up yourself. Cousin sister. Lung Ying said. Lu Yurong smiled. You're a girl. It's fine if you don't know this. But cousin brother, you don't know it's not right. You fool around with those scoundrels all day long. You don't study. You're such a disappointment. What study? Just practice martial arts. Lung Feng said, unconvinced. Lu Yurong waved her hand, too lazy to continue talking to him. He was already an adult, not a child. What should he learn? What should he not learn? He knew it was not good, but he still did it. There was really nothing more to say. If he continued talking, he would be angry to death. All right, since we're full, it's time to leave. Chu Li smiled. Lu Yurong said, that's good, I'll see you off. Sure, Chu Li nodded. Lu Yurong turned her head to Lung Feng, who was about to stand up. I'll see him off myself. I'll have a word with him alone. Lung Feng frowned. Cousin sister, that's not good, is it? Lu Yurong's face darkened. Lung Feng quickly said, cousin sister, this melon field, plum, shut up. Lu Yurong said coldly. She turned her head and smiled at Chu Li. Let's go. Chu Li smiled and stood up, glanced at Lung Feng, and shook his head. Lung Feng stared at him, watching the two of them walk out of the main hall side by side. He gritted his teeth, the silver chopsticks in his hand deformed. Lung Ying shook her head and sighed, helplessly. Her brother was really too much. He was blinded by greed. He kept doing stupid things as his sister. She really couldn't help him. If she was Chu Li, she would have turned against him and left. Chapter 4:21. P.S. Thank you, Alliance Leader Han Jiang Yi, for the reward of 100,000. Chu Li and Lu Yurong walked side by side and slowly reached the entrance. Is there anyone from the Holy Church of Light? Lu Yurong asked Chu Li. Her beautiful face was right in front of him. Her cold fragrance wafted into his nose, but Chu Li was not tempted. He knew that she could not touch him. There is one. Really? Lu Yurong was surprised. Chu Li said, a maid, but this maid is very interesting. Interesting? Lu Yurong frowned at him and said impatiently, what's so interesting about the Holy Church of Light? Chu Li shook his head. She did not come to the imperial residence to kill, but I think we should not disturb her now. The most important thing is that there is an assassin in the imperial residence of King Jing. We should capture him first. Assassin? Lu Yurong said. Not from the Holy Church of Light. Not from the Holy Church of Light. It is an assassin. lurking around the imperial residence, ready to strike at any time. He is about to strike. Who? Lu Yurong asked. Chu Li said, I will draw a portrait later. Just follow the portrait to find the person. Anything else? Lu Yurong asked. Chu Li smiled. The imperial residence of King Jing has tight security. Looks like you have investigated it yourself. Only these two. Lu Yurong scoffed. Fortunately, I did not waste my time. Although she was not a member of the imperial residence, she was deeply trusted by King Jing and the consort. Her status was extraordinary, and she had great power. Every time she came, she would comb through the imperial residence and get rid of any suspicious people. She would rather be wrong than let go. Chu Li said, All right, send me here, I am going back. Maybe he wasn't confident back then. I will go back with you to get the portrait. Now that he's confident. All right. It's very likely that he's cultivated some kind of divine technique. I want to see who dares to gossip. If you don't make a move, he'll make a move lightly. How did you know? Smiled and shook his head. You want to take the opportunity to see the actual situation in the imperial residence of King Un. She knew that this secret would never be revealed to her. This could be Chu after returning to the imperial residence of King Un. Lu Yurong asked. Chu Li brought her straight to his courtyard. The other after Lu Yurong came in, that's a disciple she looked around of the Holy Church of Li's courtyard and entered the gazebo in the courtyard. You're putting the personally ground before the horse and drew a painting in one go. If you catch this one, it's him. You'll be able to catch the other one. It's very interesting. In her hand, Chu the man in the portrait was handsome and in high spirits. If anything happens to his appearance is outstanding, the public house will and he's a scholar. A good time. He must be his Royal Highness's weakness. Strategist. Right? It was the public house. Smiled. Chu Li said, look, don't worry, and I can tell that he's an intelligent person. I'll catch this Tian Sure. He has been with uncle-in-law for a long time. Said, why don't you investigate looked at thoroughly before you make a move? If he wanted to assassinate uncle-in-law, he would have had the chance at him, but that might not be the case. This Tian Sure was not an ordinary person. He was uncle-in-law's strategist and had contributed a lot. It was not appropriate to capture him just like that. She needed to investigate thoroughly first. With his intelligence, he'll notice once you make a move. Chu Li smiled. What should I do? I believe you'll have a way. Lu Yurong was deep in thought. In the evening, King Jing returned to the public house under the sunset glow. He was tall and burly, with a handsome face. He had thick eyebrows and a pair of sharp eyes. His demeanor was calm and steady. He looked like he was in his 40s. He changed into a loose and soft robe and went to the backyard. Consort Lu was sitting in the gazebo reading a book. Lung Ying and Lu Yurong were leaning against the railing to feed the fish. Lung Feng was practicing his swordsmanship in the flower garden far away. Consort Lu put down her book and welcomed him with a smile. Lu Yurong curtsied. Uncle-in-law. King Jing waved his hand and sat opposite Consort Lu. Did Head Chief Chu come today? Yes. Consort Lu smiled. Hearing about him is not as good as meeting him in person. He's indeed a hero. Oh. King Jing smiled. To be able to catch the consorts, he must be a good person. He's knowledgeable and insightful. Consort Lu shook her head and smiled. He's indeed a powerful person that's comparable to Yurong. Then he's a genius. King Jing smiled. Third brother is very lucky. Lu Yurong laughed. King Jing smiled. What are you laughing at, Yurong? Lu Yurong smiled. Uncle-in-law, you're wrong. King N has this kind of luck, but he doesn't have this kind of tolerance. He can't tolerate Chu Li. Oh, King Jing looked interested. Didn't he help third brother with a meritorious deed a while ago? Lu Yurong told her about how Chu Li had killed 10 grandmasters. King Jing raised his eyebrows and muttered, This Chu Li is quite astute. He wants to eradicate the threat to the High Duke's public house in one fell swoop and break third brother's backbone. How accurate and ruthless! Lu Yurong smiled. Uncle-in-law, you're wise. Most people only think that Chu Li is acting on impulse, but they don't know what he's trying to do. He's steady, accurate, and ruthless when he does. He doesn't do anything, but when he does, he must have an ulterior motive. This Chu Li is really capable. King Jing smiled. Then, can we pull him over? It's not impossible, Lu Yurong muttered. King Jing leaned forward and asked, Is there really a chance? Lu Yurong said, King indefinitely won't tolerate him, but Xiao sure is the princess, so Chu Li won't leave on his own accord. The two of them will fight to the death, and in the end, Chu Li will be the one forced to leave. If that's the case, he can seek refuge with uncle-in-law if he wants to protect Xiao sure. It'll be a deterrent to King An. However, there's a problem with Prince Bao. We need to get ahead of him. From what I know, third brother is also ambitious, but he hides it well. Will he allow Chu Li to come over and help me? King Jing smiled. Chu Li knows the actual situation of King An's imperial residence, and I heard that he has great prestige. That depends on uncle-in-law's tactics. Help Chu Li at the crucial moment and pull him over. If he wants to protect the High Duke's public house, he might come to seek refuge with uncle-in-law. Lu Yurong smiled faintly. That makes sense. We need to plan this well. I'll leave it to you, Yurong. King Jing nodded slowly. Yes, Lu Yurong agreed. Consort Lu glanced at Lung Feng, who was cultivating in the flower bed. She sighed and shook her head. Did this brat make you angry again? King Jing smiled. Consort Lu said, He's narrow-minded and can't tolerate others. This child is too disappointing. When Chu Li came today, I asked him to welcome him personally. I wanted to bury the hatchet, but he brought Chu Li in through the side door. The smile on King Jing's face disappeared. Consort Lu said, With such a narrow-minded heart, how can he control a talent? Uncle-in-law let Lung Feng hide his identity and go there. Then tell others that he went to the border, and no one will find out. That's right, that's right. Princess Lu quickly nodded. She thought Lu Yurong's idea was brilliant. Once she became a scribe in the public house, she would not have to worry about her safety. This was what she was most concerned about. Everything else was less important in the face of safety. Moreover, being an imperial bodyguard would also help him get rid of his impetuous temperament. It was the best of both worlds. It couldn't be better. Let me think about it. King Jing smiled. Chu Li came today. Did he find the mole? He did not have much hope. The inside of the public house was not like the outside. It had been carefully sorted out by Lu Yurong. Even he felt that he had overdone it. Lu Yurong slowly said, Chu Li said that Tian Shi is an assassin. Tian Shi? King Jing was stunned. He suddenly laughed. This Chu Li, don't tell me he wants to cut off one of my arms? Princess Lu quickly said, It can't be Tian Shi. He was saved by your uncle-in-law by the roadside. If it wasn't for your uncle-in-law, he would have died from illness. Moreover, He has been doing his best to help your uncle-in-law come up with strategies for the past few years. How can he be a mole? You're saying that Tianshi knows martial arts? King Jing asked. Lu Yurong said, yes, his martial arts should be very high. Impossible. King Jing shook his head. He doesn't know martial arts. Lu Yurong frowned. Logically, Chu Li wouldn't lie to me. Could he have an ulterior motive? King Jing muttered. But that can't be right. Chu Li might not know Tianshi. Then let's try to deceive him. Lu Yurong said. King Jing slowly nodded. In the main hall of the imperial residence of King Jing, the lanterns were lit. Lu Yurong sat on King Jing's left and Tianshi on his right. Opposite them were two white-browed elders. Tianshi was handsome with a beard. He had an elegant temperament. The two elders opposite him had white hair and a ruddy complexion. They had snow-white eyebrows and hair, and their faces were as red as a baby's. They were obviously people who knew how to take care of their health. Regarding the Holy Church of Light, King Jing frowned and said, there might be a disciple of the Holy Church of Light in our residence. We have to investigate this. The atmosphere in the Ministry of War has been tense for the past 2 days. Everyone is in danger. A disciple of the Holy Church of Light sneaked into the hunting ceremony. This shows how scary they are. They're not afraid of death. They're a huge threat. We must find them. Your Royal Highness, our residence has an iron threshold. How could a disciple of the Holy Church of Light sneak in? One of the elders stroked his beard and smiled. If it was in other residences, I would believe it, but it's impossible in our residence. Most likely. King Jing scoffed. The disciples of the Holy Church of Light are extraordinary. They can hide their martial arts. They can even disguise themselves as grandmasters who don't know martial arts. Your Royal Highness, where should we start? Tianshi closed fist saluted. King Jing said, start with the maids. The most inconspicuous ones are usually the most suspicious. Check every single one of them carefully. Don't miss any. All right. Tianshi nodded and sighed. I didn't expect the Holy Church of Light to have their hands in our residence. Miss Lu must have found out about this, right? Lu Yurong smiled. I guessed it. The Holy Church of Light might have spies in every residence. We're no exception. If that's the case, Tianshi said calmly, looks like we have to investigate this thoroughly. Senior Tian, I think this person must be among the maids, Lu Yurong said. Moreover, he must be close to the Royal Highness's maids. That makes sense, Tianshi said. He stroked his beard and sighed. The Royal Highness's safety is more important. We must investigate this thoroughly. What a pity. He suddenly exhaled and unconsciously flicked his sleeves. If this was any other time, King Jing would not have been vigilant and would not have noticed his action. Now that King Jing had been reminded by Lu Yurong, he was extremely vigilant. He subconsciously moved his palms in front of his chest. Bang! The two forces collided with each other, and a turbulent energy spread out. The two elders with white eyebrows and beards tumbled out. Lu Yurong caught them in time and sent them out of the main hall. When they returned to the living room, King Jing and Tianshi were already fighting. King Jing was a grandmaster. Tianshi was usually like a scholar, but at this moment he was like a ghost. His body movement technique was extremely fast, and his palms were elegant and ruthless. He forced King Jing to retreat. King Jing said in a low voice, Tianshi, I've always treated you well. Why are you doing this? Please forgive me, Your Royal Highness. Tianshi's movements were elegant, and his words were light. After my father died at the hands of Your Royal Highness, my father's vengeance is absolutely irreconcilable. I can only do this. Whose son are you? Tianhong. Tianhong. King Jing frowned. He did not remember. Tian Shi said calmly, Your Royal Highness has killed too many people. How could you remember a mere ninth-rank official? I originally wanted to wait until Your Royal Highness has achieved something great before making a move. Unfortunately, things are unpredictable. I can only deal with Your Royal Highness first. Chapter 423. P.S. The 12 alliances have been formed. The alliance leader's nickname is Number 2. Tian Shi smiled faintly and declined to comment. Lu Yurong said, The disciple from the Holy Church of Light must be among the maids. Miss Lu is very smart. Tian Shi said, It's a pity that smart people don't live long. Lu Yurong asked, Are you trying to kill His Royal Highness, or are you trying to protect that disciple from the Holy Church of Light? Tian Shi remained silent. Lu Yurong smiled. If you want to protect the disciple of the Holy Church of Light, I can spare her life. However, you can't take revenge on her either. She'll use her life in exchange for your father's, and you'll still serve in the imperial residence. What do you think? Tian Shi frowned and looked at her. He secretly sighed at how terrifying Lu Yurong was. She was so calculative and vicious. He hesitated. Should he save her, or should he kill King Jing for revenge? Lu Yurong said, With me here, you won't be able to kill His Highness. In that case, your sweetheart won't be able to escape either. You won't be able to avenge yourself, and your sweetheart won't be able to escape either. You have no choice. Why not choose one? King Jing scoffed. Tian Shi, if you promise not to seek revenge, I can pretend that nothing happened. Sigh. Tian Shi shook his head and said, Your Highness, I can only let you down. My father's vengeance is absolutely irreconcilable. As his son, if I can't avenge him, I will be ashamed to face my ancestors. Senior Tian, you are a smart person. Why do you have to be so stubborn? Lu Yurong hurriedly said, His Royal Highness is fair and just. If your father died under His Royal Highness's blade, then he must have deserved it. Besides, it's only right for me to die. I have to avenge myself, Tian Shi said. His figure suddenly became fainter, as if his body had melted into the water and a part of it had melted. All of a sudden, it was as if he had become another person. His speed was as fast as lightning. King Jing could not dodge in time and was hit in the chest with a bang. Ugh! King Jing spat out a mouthful of blood. Your Highness! Lu Yurong's face darkened, and she said coldly, If that's the case, I can only grant your wish. Guards! Here, 8 grandmasters rushed into the house and rushed towards Tian Shi. However, Tian Shi was like a flash of light. He instantly broke through the 8 people's siege and appeared in front of King Jing. Lu Yurong also appeared in front of King Jing. Their palms were facing each other. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lu Yurong's bluish-white gown fluttered. She stood firmly on the spot and stood in front of King Jing. Tian Shi took 2 steps back and frowned at Lu Yurong. He knew that Lu Yurong was a master, but he did not expect her to be so powerful. Even though he had achieved great success in his martial arts, he still could not defeat her.